Welcome to the Good Buddies Anime Podcast. I'm your good buddy Brandon.
And I'm your good buddy Roger.
And I got to start it this time.
We switched it around.
Oh shit. I didn't actually want to. He made me do it. I was forced. I'm telling you here now. Real quick before we start, we are officially on Roach Watch 2018. Before we started fucking recording, Roger looks up at the corner of this room we're in and says, God, that's a huge bug. And I turn around, there is a massive fucking gigantic
bug.
Roach, a cockroach, la cucaracha on the fucking wall. And I jumped up on the couch and tried to hit it with my shoe, and it jumped away, and I didn't see where it went. He says behind the couch, I'm scared for my life, guys. So at some point, if you hear me scream and freak out, we'll cut something out, but that means it came back for revenge.
I don't think it's coming back, buddy.
That fucker, I've said it before, I've already told you, that fucker was big enough. He's got nothing to lose, and I'm scared for my life.
I
think it was huge.
I tried to make the situation better. I gave him a name. It's Calvin.
Don't humanize the bug.
He is just in for the anime podcast. You just want to check us out. He's a big fan of Dragon Ball Super.
I'm so upset already.
He's actually not finished with it yet. He's waiting for the dub.
I'm so nervous about being in this room.
But he is very excited, and he's been very pumped with the Goku Black Saga so far.
I'm gonna
have a
hard time focusing, is all I'm saying. I'm gonna sit here and break it down, and I'm gonna constantly be looking under the table to see if that roach is creeping up on me.
You swung a penny loafer at him.
It's not a penny loafer, first of all.
He's not coming back.
Slip on shoes. I like being able to kick my feet off, but man. Anyway, before we break it down, we decided we wanted to do a new little thing, because I know Roger, typically we watch, me and I think you do too, we record on Fridays, so we watch whatever we're going to talk about that Thursday before that.
Yep.
So that it's fresh in our minds. But the rest of the week, we are watching other stuff. So do you, sir, what have you been watching? Do you have any cool stuff you want to talk about?
Welcome to the new segment, What Have You Been Watching?
Beep, 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 beep. All right.
Calvin's been watching Dragon Ball Super.
Every time you say that, I'm going to cringe a little bit more. Dude.
I have been watching, I actually finished last night, the Ancient Magus Pride,
however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Magus.
Very, 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 very good.
It looks really good. I've heard a lot of good things.
Yeah,
it's in my
think
queue.
it is supposed to be Magus's, because it has apostrophe on the end.
Yeah.
It is really good for an anime that has a very weird premise to it. It turns out to be really, really great. I'd already heard it was good, but just kind of reading it, I'm not sure this would be my thing. If you like fantasy stuff, then you're really gonna like this anime.
Is it like a romance kind of thing?
Kinda, yes.
Yeah, that seems like something I'd be into.
But it is very all the different creatures and stuff in it, all of the the spells and stuff like that. Oh, it's really good. And you go into episode. The whole thing is the big dude Elias that has a skull for a head.
Yeah, I've seen that picture. He looks rad.
Yeah,
his name's Elias. Do you walk with Elias?
I walk with Elias. He purchases this girl.
Oh, okay.
Yep, she sells herself.
Oh,
and, okay. He tells her, "You're going to be my apprentice and also my wife."
Hey, that sounds really great.
Yeah. Also,
also a little fucking weird.
It does sound a little weird because you think
I'm not super comfortable.
But
it
makes you kind of question, okay, so if you got a timeless being, and a teenage girl.
All right, I'm less into it now.
Well, I know.
I do want to check it out.
And you think about it, you're like, can they make that okay?
Yeah.
And they freaking do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be too judgy because I've mentioned it a couple of times. I did just finish watching Citrus, so that one,
Yeah.
oh boy, there is some shit that goes down in that. Consent doesn't exist in that show.
Oh, God.
That's not the one I want to talk about for what I've been watching, but Jesus Christ, those first several episodes is just people forcing themselves on each other.
But I highly recommend that anime, and I know that sounds weird, and it took me a second to get into it because I thought it was weird.
It looks
but they
good.
Make it work.
It looks good, and it is in my queue, and I'm definitely going to watch it.
Outside of that, I've started up the new Full Metal Panic season.
Ooh.
First season back since 8 years ago.
Nice.
It's the first time I've watched a new Full Metal Panic episode in 8 years, and it's so far so good. Also, I've been watching Megalobox. That's the last one I want to mention. That anime is dope. If you like Outlaw Star, if you like Cowboy Bebop, you like those old Adult Swim styled anime, then you're gonna like Megalobox.
Yeah, that one's also on my queue. I got to check that out. I will say now, Roger, I saw you talking on the Facebook page a little bit about the new Full Metal Panic thing. I've never watched any of that. I don't know a thing about it. Can I watch that and be into it?
I would recommend that you watch the first season and second season. Or sorry, the second season is called Fumofu. You want to watch Full Metal Panic and Full Metal Panic the second raid. You can watch Fumofu as well because it's just a romantic comedy. It's like a little short. I think Full Metal Panic is like 24 episodes, and the second raid is 12. But this is only the English dub for it. That's what I waited for because that's how I heard it first. I'm kind of thinking about breaking it.
Oh boy.
But it's only got the first episode of Invisible Victory out. So if you have plenty of time to catch up for what is a pretty good romantic mecha.
Yeah.
It's an awesome series. I've always I liked it when I was younger.
I've definitely heard of it. I think it looks cool. I don't know, 24 for the first season, and then there's more. Like that seems like a big commitment for me, but that's a hard maybe. I'll probably check it out at some point.
I mean, if you look at it it's 36 episodes to get to that point that you need. Full Metal Alchemist is 62 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, I did blaze the fuck through that one. Yeah, I'll probably check it out at some point.
It's 9 more episodes than what's that one you're always talking about?
I don't know. Oh, Gurren Lagann?
Gurren Lagann, yeah.
Yeah, I love Gurren Lagann.
That one's 27 episodes, I believe. 9 episodes
yeah, I'll check it out at
than
some
that,
point.
so.
I'll check it out at some point.
I recommend you go to the Ancient Mattress Broad first. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That one's in the queue already. I'm definitely checking that out. And Megalobox, that looks really good.
So what have you been watching, dude?
I've been watching a lot of stuff lately. I don't want to talk about all of it because I might want to talk about it at another episode. But one thing I did, two things. I'll say two things. One, I have been watching the new series of My Hero Academia as it's coming out, season 3. Man, it's pretty sweet. They get to the action pretty quick in this one. There's not a whole lot of build up, and shit is just going down. And I'm enjoying it a lot so far. It sucks.
I made the decision to watch that with my girlfriend, so now I'm forever locked to her schedule.
No, so you can't watch it without her. You're the worst. And she's out camping right now, so you're sure as hell not watching it now.
Sure as hell not. Nope.
Ugh. The worst. But yeah, I've been watching that. It's pretty great. I'm really loving it. Another thing, I've been watching a lot of stuff lately, but another thing I just finished, I actually forced myself to finish watching it Thursday before I watched the show we're about to talk about, Violet Evergarden, because I wanted that to be fresh in my mind. But I just finished a show on Amazon, on the Amazon app, video or whatever, that aired from last year, from I think June or July through December. It finished then.
Sure.
And I'm super into it. It's called Welcome to the Ballroom. I showed you a couple pictures from it. It's really interesting because I know they've been doing a bunch of animes about sports and stuff. There's basketball and there's the swimming one.
There's one about horse racing right now.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen a clip of that. Is that the one where they're horse racing schoolgirls or whatever?
Yes.
Not into it.
Yeah,
Looks weird. I saw one. I saw a clip where some dude is patting one on the butt, nice rump, and she kicks the shit out of him. I'm good. I don't need that. That's what you do with horse. Nice rump, and then you get kicked. Anyway, Welcome to the Ballroom is it's a one of those sports animes. I haven't watched any of those, so I don't know how formulaic it is, but it's definitely about competitive ballroom dance, which sounds really goofy, but I mean, anyone who's seen enough animes knows that you can make anything compelling if you do it good.
Initial
and these
D
fuckers
is
do it pretty
street
great.
racing, and they.
Well, that can be fun. I'm talking
I guess the Fast and Furious.
I'm talking
really
the most mundane shit you can make bad. I've
it's something
I've
that
talked
I
about
never
it.
would have liked. I guess.
Gotcha, but I've talked about it before. That scene in fucking Death Note, where dude is like writing names and he's like eating the chips, and they make it so dramatic.
And I eat it.
They make that shit so dramatic. They make this shit so dramatic, even though they're just spinning around on the ballroom. But it's really cool. It's about this kid named Tatara who like doesn't have. He's like a total like school loser. Doesn't have anything going on. He ends up like. He sees a girl that he kind of likes at school because he thinks she's like him, that she's not doing anything, so he wants to try and make friends. Ends up like seeing her go into this building. Turns out it's a dance studio. Next thing you know, he's like learning to dance. It's really cool. The visuals of it are a little weird because like I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit jarring when you see these people. Like they look like normal anime folks for the most part, but particularly when they're dancing, when they're on the ballroom, because like dancers tend to have very long arms and long legs and long necks.
Spindly. They
really exaggerate everything. So all of a sudden you see these people with these crazy noodle arms and these crazy goose necks, and their backs arched into these just parabolic curves that don't make any sense. It looks inhuman, but it fucking works in the show. It's a little weird, but it works in the show, particularly in the later episodes once you're like used to that style. It's fucking great. It's 24 episodes long. I think it really kicks off at like episode 11 or 12 because like that's like a midway point, and all of a sudden there's a new intro and there's new characters showing up and it gets amazing. But I really like that show. It's about ballroom dance. It's a good time. Check it out if you want to. Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on YouTube or somewhere, you can leave a comment. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you're watching.
Tell us about what you're into. Yeah.
If you got suggestions for us, I really, since I started all these projects or whatever, before then I didn't have much time to watch much stuff. So now I'm catching up big time. So if there's anything I missed in the last 3 or 4 years, let me know.
Yeah, man. But I think that's what we've been watching lately. Let's get into what we're watching for this week and the next 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. We watched episodes 1 through 4 of Violet Evergarden.
I'm gonna cry. I already cried a little. It's a slow burn. It's a very dramatic show.
Yeah.
I'll say this before we even get into really breaking it down. I told you this when we first started talking about it. This is maybe the most beautiful thing I've watched in a while.
Yeah, it's the scenery and stuff.
It's so pretty.
And when they want to do it, they do it.
Oh my God, the character designs, the animations are so smooth. It is beautiful to watch, man. I really love it. The colors pop. It's so good. I'm really into this one. But let's just get started up. Episode 1.
I Love You and Auto Memory Dolls.
Yeah. So, this one, it starts out with like that little scene where they're just like walking. Like there isn't any intro or outro in these first 2 episodes. Yeah. It just like gets right into it. It has that cinematic feel, kind of like what we talked about with Made in Abyss. Mm-hmm. Like where they can it feels like you're watching a movie, and it's so pretty.
The credits are going right over the intro credits, or
like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes in, you like see some intro credits while the show is just happening. It's really good. But we see these 2 people walking through a crowd in some town or something. One that we recognize as the main character of the show, Violet, and another who's a dude we find out is Major Gilbert.
Major Gilbert.
Who, these are like 2 very important character shows, obviously. But Violet stops. They're both in military garb, like they appear to be soldiers, obviously. And she stops when she sees like this jewel on this, like someone selling, and the major guy like stops. He's like, what's up? He's like, and she says, it's the same color as your eyes. It's this beautiful like emerald brooch that she ends up, she gets one way or another. We find out later, but it's really great. She's like, what is this feeling called? And I think it's interesting that like when she does that, he turns and stops, and he looks a little bit like annoyed. I don't know what that look he gives was, but he kind of like is like, for a second, which was weird to me. I don't know what's happening here.
I didn't notice it.
That's what it looked like to me. He had this weird squint in his eyes. Anyway, cut forward. Stuff happened. Maybe we'll probably find out what happens later. But this girl wakes up in a hospital bed covered in bandages. Her hands are all wrapped up. She's got like bandages over her face and her head and stuff. Mm-hmm. And she gets up. She's like trying to write a letter. Says that she's been in the she writes you hear her writing 120 days in the hospital, when can I return to my post. She's writing to Major Gilbert, who we figure out is the guy there. She drops her pen, the letter blows away, and the paper like flies out the window and like goes over all these different scenes, which is kind of like as close to an intro as we get for this episode. Credits are rolling and stuff, and like the scenes again, it's so damn pretty. Like it flies over these busted up train tracks. There's a bunch of like mortar shell holes, like all in the dirt around it. It flies like there's a plane flying.
This anime had a very large budget for art.
Yeah, it's really pretty. Flies through these city streets and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know where this damn letter's going, but it's getting there. And like you see a scene with like a big ship. I don't know if it's being christened or if it's like a big celebration, but there's a huge party like on the dock where this giant like liner ship is. It's just really pretty all around. Anyway, from there, we see some guy walking like up this road, and we get a little information of where we are. This is the kingdom of, definitely not pronouncing these right, Inseal, somewhere in the capital of Inchain, I don't know.
Yeah, these country names and stuff are very confusing.
Also, I definitely turned on the subtitles to watch this one because a lot of times they'll say a name and I'm like, I don't know how that's spelled, and then I see how it's spelled and I'm like, that's not how you say that.
Like the army they were in or whatever, it's the Leidenschlift army.
Leidenschlift, yeah.
Yeah, Leidenschlift.
It's like clearly some kind of like Euro-based like fantasy area, vaguely French, vaguely German like area that they're in. Is this nation where they're living? But particularly, we'll talk about this a little bit later. But there's a dude who's introduced. Yeah, we'll get to that. But they say his name, and I'm like, how is that spelled? And then I see it, and I'm like, that's not how you spell that. But apparently it is. Anyway. This fella is walking down this road. He ends up at the hospital or at the clinic where this girl was, Violet, and he's giving a little voiceover. He says she was kept hidden. She was they called her a weapon, a tool without a heart. And as he enters, he sees this doll sitting on a table, and it's like wearing a pretty little doll dress. And for a second, he sees blood dripping down one of the hands of this doll. And then he has like a flashback, and we see what appears to be Violet, like drenched in blood, like kneeling, like around a bunch of dead bodies. And I'm like, what is this show? I don't know. I know it's probably gonna make me cry. But yeah, he goes into the room. He sees he goes in to see Violet. Violet like has fallen out of her bed by the time they get there. Maybe this was like immediately after, like when she had just dropped her.
Yeah, it looked like
pin.
it was like
it was like right then.
That paper was flying while this was happening.
Yeah, but apparently Gilbert was injured. Major Gilbert. She just asked about Major Gilbert. She's very deadpan in everything she says. Like she's vaguely monotone, even though she she's got a fairly light and airy voice, but she's very like always stiff and straight to the point. Where is Major Gilbert? I need to report back. I need to be useful. Blah blah blah.
You could tell like the military has pretty much been her whole life.
It seems like that's literally all she knows, and we'll see more of that later. But this guy, Lieutenant Hodges, we find out says, well, Gilbert asked me to come for you. And he's like, well, what were you doing here? And she's like got her pen back and says, oh, they told me riding would help improve my condition. I need my condition. Shut up, Roger. This isn't the wrestling podcast. We can't keep making these references.
This is always in my head, dude.
The word, my condition is over. All right. But she keeps asking like, when can I return to my post, this and that. And, she says, the doctor told me that we won the war, but I still, I need to do this or that or whatever. And he explains, no, it's okay. You're going to come with me. I was sent to get you. And, they get her up, they dress, they start to leave. The doctor, or maybe nurse, I'm not sure, as they're leaving, gives her a big suitcase. Apparently it was sent from the army, got sent to some faraway base, my mistake. I don't know if that'll come back, but I wrote it down. And she's looking through her stuff, and she says, where's the brooch? My emerald brooch. Where's my emerald brooch? I must find it. It was a gift. It was a gift from the major. It's not there. It's gone missing, and she's very, very upset about this, obviously. But Hodges manages to calm her down. They get into this, like, carriage or whatever, this wagon, and they start moving. As they're going, they talk for a little bit, and he presents her with 3 stuffed animals, a cat, a dog, and a rabbit, and says, asks her to choose one. She says, no, I don't want one. And he says, no, you have to choose one. So pretend the world's about to end and pick one. 1, 2, and then she picks the puppy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what was even the point of it? Is this like a test or something? But she takes the dog, and she kind of holds it for a second.
Thankfully, he asks.
Yeah. And she says, why the puppy? And he says, well, the major's brother once told me you're just Gilbert's dog. Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
This girl's had a tough life, obviously.
Well, it's like it doesn't even register to her that was...
It's an insult, or that it's anything bad.
Yeah. And also, like, okay. By this point, you're getting the very strong feelings that Gilbert is dead.
I'm still not convinced, but
I'm
it
not
definitely...
convinced either.
The show wants me to think that.
Yeah. So she keeps asking about him too.
Yeah, and whenever someone who knows what she's talking about like answers, they're always very evasive. Hodges in particular.
Yeah,
doesn't say yes or no.
Not saying anything.
He only ever says he told me to come get you. He told me to do this, not like when or anything. It's pretty rough, or if even that's true. But yeah, they go on. There's we see a brief flashback that we'll see again later. They're in Leiden, we find that out, but we see a brief flashback with Gilbert, Major Gilbert, who is laying it's him and Violet. Mm-hmm. We know she's Violet. They've named her. Called her Violet by now, and they're in their military uniforms. Gilbert is very bloody. Violet is very bloody. She's like crying a little bit or beginning to. And Major Gilbert is sitting there leaning against the wall, and he says, listen, you have to live and be free, covered in blood. He says, I mean it. And then that's like the clip we get, and we find out more about that scene later. But they're in Leiden, the capital of Leidenschaftlich. Leidenschaftlich. I don't know how to say these things, but hey, I'm going for it. Apparently, Violet...
L-Town.
Yeah. The L-Town, capital of L-Town, USA. No, it's not in USA. Hodgins explains that Gilbert wanted Violet left with the Evergarden household, one of his most trusted families or something like that, he says. Apparently, they've been at war for 4 years. She goes in, she meets Lady Evergarden, who's a very, very, kind of stuffy, maybe very like welcoming, if not super duper, proper older lady. They invite him in. She gives him some tea. This tea looks delicious. It's got like a flower floating in. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to drink that. We never
made tea for the podcast,
bro. We should have some tea, bro.
I have tons of green tea in there,
bro. I love green tea, bro. We're gonna have a little tea party. Excuse us. Go ahead and cut it off.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, she's having some tea, and she says, "Oh, please go ahead, drink your tea." And she starts to, and she grabs it. She's very shaky. She spills the tea. It's hot tea all over her hand. Her hands are bandaged up. We've only seen them in bandages. And Lady Evergarden's like, "Oh no, goodness, let me get that for you." And she's like, "It's fine. It doesn't hurt." "Oh, but it's so hot." It's like, "No, I can't feel any of it." And she unwraps her hand, which is soaked in this hot tea. And that's the first time you see these badass but also heartbreaking metal hands that she has. She explains they're made of adamant silver, her arms. We don't know how far up they go, but it appears to be like pretty close to the shoulder. We know at least on the one arm it goes to the elbow, as we see later. But yeah, she calls them clumsy but sturdy, and Lady Evergarden gifts Violet with some gloves after that. Apparently Lady Evergarden's name is Tiffany, we find out, and they just kind of they kind of like just chat for a bit, her and Hodgins, and they explain that Gilbert wanted her to be here, and Tiffany Evergarden says that they'll accept her as their own daughter. And Violet, again, very deadpan, just says, I don't need replacement parents. I never had parents. I don't need any replacement parents. And they said, no, it's okay. Our son was in the war too. He died, unfortunately. I can't replace your dead son. Okay, well, Jesus, girl, can you chill? We're trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Like it's really rough to try and talk to her.
Are there non-humans in this world, or
that's what I'm not sure. This freaking
is she a robot?
That's the question, isn't it? Is she a robot? Because I feel like she might be a robot. There's a bunch of stuff that happens. We'll get into it later on in the episode. But Jesus Christ, she sure as hell seems to be a fucking robot. She sure as hell got metal arms. I think she might be a robot. But yeah, Hodges goes to leave. He eases the tension a little bit before he does, saying it was Gilbert's wish for you to live happily here. And as he's walking out, Violet bursts out the door and is yelling at him. She says, "No, why is the Major leaving me here? Is it my arms? I can still fight." And he says, "Violet, the war's over." And that's all she knows. It's a very sad scene. It's very upsetting because that's clearly all she knows. That's all she's comfortable with. That's all she's ever gonna be, or so she believes. And she can't understand, like, if that's not it, then what do I do? And she says, "Well, I'm a tool. If I don't have a purpose, then I should be discarded." Which is like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
I'm sad about cartoons again.
More leading to the case that she is a robot.
I think she might be a robot. But I don't know. She definitely seems robotic. I did say, like, last week when we at the end of that episode when we had our sweet little record scratch moment, I said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna watch Violet Evergarden. It's a show about a robot girl who needs a job. The war's over. Blah blah blah." That's what I had read in the thing. I didn't read Robot Girl. I assumed Robot Girl because I saw Robot Hand. Mm-hmm. Watching it, they definitely, it seems like they want you to think she's not a robot because she does bleed. We do see her like begin to cry. We see her eyes well up with tears. So she's not a robot, but she sure as hell acts like a robot. And then there's little things that happen in the show that I'll get to that make me think she's for sure a robot. But anyway, Violet, she definitely believes she has this singular purpose, and like she does not have any point of existing beyond that, so she wants to be thrown away at this point, which is really sad. And we're only 15 minutes in, and I'm already like upset. But anyway, it goes on. Lieutenant Hodges takes her with him, explains he's not actually a lieutenant anymore. He now owns a company. He's President Hodges. Ooh, Mr. President. And it's basically like a privately owned post office thing. He explains that most folks in this universe we're in don't like, or in this area anyway, don't know how to write. So what they do is they go to these places to talk to people about a letter they want to write to someone or some message they want to convey, and those people will translate it and like kind of, type it out for them, but also they're supposed to like get to the point of it. We find out later, like what their real emotions are about a thing. Like if you walk in and say, "I want to talk to my mom because I'm sad about my mom and I want to talk to my mom. We haven't talked in a while." Then they would say, "Dearest mother, I'm sorry I left and I'm so sad that I can't talk to you. Please meet me." Like that kind of thing. Like you can just spit out whatever and they'll like make it make sense, which is really interesting. I'm really liking the world that we're in. It's very cool to me. So, but he also says we also like deliver the letters and whatnot. And apparently we also find out that Violet does know how to write, despite so many people not knowing, because Gilbert taught her. And Hodges says, "You still have a purpose. You can work." So he then introduces her to Benedict, who's this guy who works there. He's a postman. He says, "Violet, you're going to be a postman too." She is. This is where we see some more of her military constantness, because she's just "yes sir" and saluting everything constantly. That's like she always says affirmative or something like that, or confirmed or whatever whenever she's talking to someone. She doesn't just say yes or no. She's just all army is all she's ever known apparently. So Benedict is showing her around. She's still saluting him now. He says, "Here's your uniform, go ahead and change to this," and she just starts immediately undressing. He's like, "Wait a minute," and like she gets changed. He explains to her, here's where you work. I just need you to sort out all this mail. And then he leaves and he comes back several hours later and it's all done. And she just stood there all day sorting the mail, didn't even take any breaks, didn't do anything else except for just sort out the mail. And Benedict's like, "Jesus Christ, why didn't you take a break?" "I do not require breaks." I'm like, okay, robot girl. And then he says, "Well, do you want to try delivering?" And he explains, like, we also deliver the letters, and he has a map. And then he's like, "But yeah, I'm gonna go," and he leaves. So then from there, you see Hodges taking a ride back from whatever appointment he went to. It sounds like he was at a bank or something. Because he's apparently having trouble getting funded in his little monologue, he says. So he looks out the window of this trolley or whatever that he's in and sees someone pushing a bunch of letters in a big cart. And he says, some people are doing night delivery. We can't afford that. And then he sees that the logo on it is his own post office logo. And he's like, wait.
Yeah.
And he jumps out. It's Violet. And
she's delivering some mail.
She's delivering mail at very late at night because that's what she do. So he jumps out. He stops her. He says, what are you doing? Delivering the mail. Okay, so cut to them at dinner with Benedict, and Benedict's like, I didn't mean tonight try it. Like, in the morning we'll do that. Whatever. So they talk for a little bit.
He was not very clear, to be fair.
He wasn't. Benedict's kind of a douche. I don't know what this guy's deal. He seems
one
nice.
Long like bang that runs in
he
front
does
of
have
his
one of
face.
them. He has one of them anime bangs. He's got one of them. He's got one of them Zack from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Like that one long ass bang. That was his name, right, Zack?
Yeah, it's like a straightened version of Major Hughes from Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, a little bit. But also, the food in this scene where they're eating looks amazing, and I got hungies. Dude was eating some egg rolls, and I was like, oh, that's looking right. But like some spring rolls or something.
Make me a quesadilla.
It was looking super right. But they kind of talk for a bit. They explain the Evergardens are willing to take them in, but staying at the mansion, and Benedict's like, that's not going to work. For whatever reason, it's going to be an issue letting her stay there, which they don't really explain, but, I mean, hey, what's going on?
We got an Amber Alert here.
Yeah, I just checked mine, and then it popped up on yours. All right.
Sorry, guys, if that buzzed and you could hear it, it's an Amber Alert.
Yeah, man, we had an Amber Alert come through. I'm still on the lookout for that fucking roach, but whatever.
We call an Amber Alert for Calvin.
Now that's not. No, I would call a death squad on Calvin. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. But yeah. So they explain, like, Hughes was trying to be nice about it, but no, she's not going to be able to actually stay at the Evergarden estate for whatever reason.
Why? So is there just no reason for it?
They don't really explain it there.
Or is it
I
just
don't know
because she doesn't want to?
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I can't assume. I'm hoping we get. I'm sure there'll be more explanation as to like what's going on with her, but I don't know. It's odd. But they go on. I might have just missed something there too. Like I told you when I'm watching this, it takes me forever to get through these 4 episodes because I'm constantly like, I need to make a note of that.
He's working on reformatting the way he takes notes.
Yeah, I'll pause and like write down what happened there because I don't want to forget this scene. I want to make sure I mention it because this might be important or whatever. And I'm like taking notes and writing down my thoughts and shit, which means it takes me like, God, it took so long to get through these episodes because I was constantly pausing and repausing and whatnot. I was up to like 1 a.m. last night, past that. Point is, I think what I'm going to start doing is just like, particularly with this one, because 1, I don't want to look away because it's so pretty, and 2, it's really hard to get those emotional hits when you're constantly stopping and doing something else. You're not in the moment.
Yeah, this one would be hard to do as a sub.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do...
I look at the text a lot, and then
like I said, I'm keeping the subtitles on, so I'm like,
Sure.
It's there anyway. But yeah, I feel like what I'm going to start doing is like, we usually watch them on Thursday. I'm going to start like on Saturday, watch whatever episodes. That gives me some time to like digest and actually experience it. And then like Thursday, just kind of rewatch it in the background while I'm taking notes or whatever. I think is going to be the way to do it. But yeah, I'm digging this show, but it is a slow burn for sure. Particularly once we get up to like episode 3 and 4, that's where shit gets pretty interesting. But yeah, so Violet appears to have been a child soldier. Like this is literally all she knows. We get a little more exposition on that, but not much. But she's walking back she's going to be staying at the office, like in one of the top floors, for the time being. And as she's walking back with Hodges stops and explains to her that you don't understand. Your body is burning, he says. And it's kind of weird. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm not burning. She like looks down like she doesn't understand what he's saying. And he says, no, you are. It's going to be used up. And there's a brief flashback where we see like that same scene with that bloody Violet kneeling next to a bunch of dead people. And then you see on the other side of like looking at her, a bunch of people that appear to be standing in some kind of stands, like, I don't know, an arena or something. But Hodges is there and he was watching it happen. And I'm just like, what kind of fucked up shit was this army up to? I don't know.
I'm just shaking my head. I know you can't hear me shake my head. But
I don't know. I'm sure we'll get those answers, but man, oh man, is there some weird stuff happening, and I don't particularly love it. Next morning, Violet's at the office. She's like cleaning the windows. A man comes in, thinks she's one of the writers, and asks her to write to a friend of his who has been proposed to. And he ends up sitting down with one of the actual writers or whatever, people that write the letters. We find out later they're called auto memory dolls. Memories dolls, they say in the show, but the subtitles all say memory doll.
Yeah, as far as I can see, it's memory doll.
Yeah, it's all memory in the text. But
I'll be your memory.
Why you gotta do that to me?
Can I be your enemy?
All right. This is the worst. You're the worst, and I hate you.
What song is that?
Now, see, when I think, that's called Memory, I think. Isn't it?
Who sings that?
You can Google it, bro.
Why
see,
is
when
that
I
in my
hear Memory,
brain?
my first thought, and this just says a lot about me. My first thought when I hear Memory is that song from Cats. But you don't even know what that is.
I know the play Cats. I never watched it.
Not a play, a musical, sir.
Sorry, same thing.
Touch me, it's so easy to leave me. I don't need to sing anymore.
Enemy?
You're the worst. Anyway, so this guy sits down and he explains and he starts talking, and this other person who's writing takes over talking for him because he's just saying all this stuff, and this person, we later find out his name, Catalea. She's taking all this information and typing out, and she says, "You were the first person who was kind to me." And as she's saying this, we see flashbacks of Violet and Major Gilbert meeting, maybe training. There's a bit where they're like in a foxhole and then or like a trench, and then they like jump up. It's kind of like that scene in Wonder Woman when she's running through the battlefield, and like it's one of those, and Violet is whipping some ass. It's a really cool scene.
Yeah,
but all
that
we're
one
seeing
could have been my favorite fight scene of them all.
Yeah, so far. There's not
sweet.
many. Like maybe we'll get more, but
you get a little taste, and every time they give you just a little,
feels good.
You're like, yeah.
But yeah,
awesome.
while we're seeing all that, we hear, "You were the first person who was kind to me. I appreciate it. You were everything to me. I would have done anything for you, anything at all. I want to know how you feel. I want to know what's in your heart. I love you." And we find out that these people who are working there after this scene are the Auto Memories doll service. There's 3 women who work there, and they do this. They are, as I already said, someone comes in, just spills their guts, and they make it into a proper, letter or some kind of correspondence to this other person they want to write to. And Violet's like standing there kind of awestruck after this scene, and one of the girls is like, "Why are you even here?" And she goes, "What does that mean?" Like,
that song's by Sugar Cult, by the way.
Sugar Cult.
I had to.
If you gave me enough time, I would have came up with that, but no, man.
Forget back
to the disaster. My heart's beating faster. All right, this isn't the Sugar Cult. This isn't the Sugar Cult fan podcast. All right.
I wouldn't say that I'm a fan.
Do you want to start that? Do you want to start the Sugar Cult?
Yeah, let's talk about. Start a podcast.
Let's not.
That's a pretty. Let's say niches get the riches, dude.
You're the worst.
You gotta get the riches.
Yeah, okay. Niches get the riches.
Is it niche
the
or niche?
riches.
I've heard it so many different ways.
That sounds like how Woke and Jeff Hardy would say that. Niches.
Niche.
The niches.
Yeah. That's Brother Nero, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Not Woke and Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero. You're talking Woke and Matt Hardy.
I meant Woke and Matt Hardy.
Broken Matt
You know what?
All right, back on.
So anyway,
be your enemy.
why is this still happening?
I don't know.
So she says, what does that mean? And they're like, what do you mean? What does that mean? He says, what does I love you mean? And we find out that's the last thing that Gilbert said to her after he gave those final orders that he wants her to live and be happy. He said, I love you. And we see that scene briefly, and it's pretty rough. I don't know what's happening there, but it's rough. Violet decides she wants to be one of these auto memory dolls to find out what that means. And we see that scene, and I think she says, as they're standing there, I think this is the scene where you see that arm fall.
Yeah. They're on that staircase where
it like cuts right, like while she's standing there talking, you hear this splat noise, and it cuts, and you see this arm that just fell onto the ground, and it's presumably Violet's arm, which is like, okay, how did she live? Robot girl. But they're there on the steps, and Gilbert is laying on the ground against the wall on those steps, And she's like, I won't let you die. I won't let you die here. And she tries to grab him and pick him up, but she doesn't have any arms. So she's literally like pulling at his clothes with her teeth. And he says, stop it, stop. We see that scene again where he says, I want you to live and be happy. I mean it. And then he says, I love you. And she just starts crying. And that's where it ends. And we don't know what happens next. We don't know how they got there. I'm sure we'll find out. But man, ooh, my witty bitty heart.
Yeah. So I guess the question is now, Brandon, can you define I love you?
No.
Have you ever loved before?
Let me ask you this. Let's not get into this.
Do you believe in life after love?
First of all, that's not how you say it. Do you believe in life after love, after love, after love, after love? I can feel something inside me straight. Nice Cher voice, bro.
Yeah, thanks,
That's
man.
a real nice Cher voice you got there. Anyway, episode 2.
Cher is also very close to Danzig, by the way, if you've never known.
Oh, that's the duet I didn't know I needed.
Strong enough. I really don't think it's strong enough.
No.
There you go.
Believe in life?
Do you believe in life after love?
That is how he would do it. All right. Can we stop?
Do you believe?
Is this? Are we? I'm sorry. Are we gonna start the?
Life after love.
Are we gonna start the Rogers?
All right, dude.
Rogers ridiculous.
I'm gonna stop going
covers
over on
versions?
tangents, dude.
No, this is great. I love it. Please.
We got a long way to go. That was episode 1.
All right, episode 2.
I'll probably still go off on things. Never coming back. Never coming back.
Jesus Christ. We're on to episode 2.
And it is called Never Coming Back.
Okay. This one starts 4 years ago at the port of Stimmer in Leidenschaft. We meet Colonel Dietfried. This is the one I was talking about. Colonel Dietfried, the voiceover says, your brother is here to meet you, and it's Gil. He's like, oh, Gil. It's Gilbert. This is Gilbert's brother, who apparently called Violet a dog. Okay, so the name, as the person says it, is Dietfried. It is spelled Diet Hard. Diethard. Look, I don't know. Obviously, I speak me some English. I don't know if that's like, Jesus, Roach! It's on the ceiling! It's on the ceiling!
Ah, there it is!
It's on the fucking ceiling! God damn it! Okay, so we just had a situation
with Calvin.
Calvin's gone, and I don't want to hear any more about it. All right? That fucker came right for me.
He's not coming back.
I took him to the ground. I stomped him. It was over. Roger goes to get a tissue, and then the fucker is gone. It was like fucking Halloween. Michael Myers' body. He was right there. It's gone. It's fucking gone. That was terrifying. And then I see it like crawling this way, and I'm like, "Is there?" And I'm trying to stomp it. It's gone. We can't find it. And then I find it in the fucking corner of the room. The point is, it's over now. It is over. We can continue with the show. Thank you for understanding. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, 4 years ago, Gilbert's visiting his brother, Dietfried.
How was the spelling on his name?
D-I-E. I'm on the wrong. I don't even know where I am. My notes are.
Brandon
all
freaked.
fucked.
He freaked.
I'm back.
I'll
on.
put a little clip in there at least. I'll try to. If anything, somewhere this whole chronicle is going to be posted.
Yeah, we're putting it at the Calvin Chronicle. Fuck, man. That's so bad. All right.
On here, I have it spelling as Deitfried. Diet fried.
Okay, in the subtitles, if you have them turned on, it's spelled Diethard, which I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, on here I have it spelled Diet fried.
D3.
And then the Japanese spelling for it, if you were to put it to letters, is Ditofurito.
You know what? Names.
Frito.
Point is, this person is Gilbert's brother. He's got a long ponytail.
Yeah.
Oh, father wouldn't allow that. Well, I'm glad he's dead, he says, which is pretty fucked up. This guy seems to be like a real, not much of a family person. Anyway, he says, I've got a gift for you. He's talking to Major Gilbert. And he says, only use it as a weapon. Don't get attached. and there's a bag that it keeps cutting to, and he opens the bag and pulls the sheet off or whatever, and it's Violet, and she's sitting there. She's like just wide-eyed and looks a little bit confused, but she's not freaking out or anything. And
why does he have a girl in a crate?
I don't know. He's a bad person.
She's a robot.
He seems
right?
like a bad person. I think she might be a robot. We'll continue. But he says, I found her in the northeastern war zone. And again, like he said before, don't get attached, use it as a weapon. Seems fucked up. Keep saying it. So yeah, maybe she is some kind of like cyborg or something. That's the vibe I'm getting anyway. But
this guy seems like a real douchebag.
he does seem like a real ding
at first glance, he's
real
a
jackass.
douche.
So we cut back to now. Violet has been made an apprentice, and Hodges is explaining to the other auto memory dolls that he wants them to try and train her. We meet Iris, who is the darker skinned, short haired girl who's kind of a firebrand, kind of a jerk a little bit, because she's like, kind of giving Violet these sideways looks. She's the one who was like, "What do you mean?" Like earlier, like being weird.
I got a name.
Who are you?
Starts with a B.
It's fucking rude.
Butthole.
All right. And we meet Erica, who's a shorter, coconut-haired, like, mousy type. She's got a really cool dress on. She looks like a little doll. And the other girl, who hasn't been named yet, who seems to be slightly older, she's got, like, a very, like, short red dress on, and she's kind of sexy. She got all her cleavage out. Kind of real hot. We find out later that's Catalea. Hey, Roger, do you get it? Do you get it?
Mm-mm.
All right, we'll talk about it later. Because I'm kind of embarrassed I didn't get it until episode 3, but let's continue. So Iris is relatively new. Erica and Catalea, we find out her name is, have been dolls for a while. She says, we're all sort of rookies here with this new business, and Erica says, well, that's not exactly true. So she gets a typing lesson. Catalea shows her the typewriter, put your fingers here, put your hands here, etc., etc. Oh, it might be easier with the gloves off. So she always uses her teeth to take the gloves off. Violet does, and whenever she does, everyone in the room just kind of gives her a whoa, like not scared, not frightened, but shocked more than anything, it seems. And knowing that they just recently a war has ended, you might have some opinions on that. Seeing it, but yeah, it's an interesting thing that happens like every time she takes the gloves off. So she takes them off. Everyone's a little shaken up. Violet tries to type a little bit, but then stops, and like she lifts up that one sleeve, and we see her like fiddle with this little mechanism in the elbow of her arm, and her fingers kind of stretch out and like kind of go into maybe a more like traditional curve like you would have if you're typing. You're supposed to keep those arches up. Mavis Beacon taught us that, but she starts typing, and she's just clickety clackety. She starts clickety clacking away, and everyone's like kind of got this weird like on their face, and Catalea finally stops her and says, maybe a little more quietly, because she's very, very loud with her typing, probably because of her giant metal fingers. How insensitive. But
I had a teacher in school that typed like that.
Yeah, typed real hard.
Mm-hmm.
I went when we had a typing class before, because
Does it have something to do with flowers?
What?
Because we got 3 people.
Oh, you're Googling everything now. See, that's cheating, you jackass.
Okay, well,
that's cheating.
I knew what an iris was already.
Here it is. So I didn't recognize until episode 3, which I'm kind of bummed out about. But literally every woman who's introduced, particularly the ones who are typing or typists or have anything to do with being auto memory dolls, they're all named after flowers. They're flowers.
What is Erica?
There is an Erica flower. Google it. Google Erica flower. It's a type of bloom. I don't know the exact type. Catalea, I believe, is a type of orchid from South America.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously Violet, obviously Iris. We see irises in episode 4, actually. A lot of them.
We used to have irises.
Later on, we're introduced to a character named Luculia, which is a type of flower. And the instructor we meet later is Rodanthe, which is a Rodanth maybe, which is a type of flower. They're all named after flowers, which I thought was really cool because I love flowers. And if someone shows up and their name's Camellia, I'm gonna nut. Anyway, that's my favorite flower. But she goes on with her little clickety-clack lesson. They stop her because she's so loud. We then meet Noreen and Lillian, who are the receptionist up front, Benedict went out and got some lunch. And he's like, hey, do you want some noodles? And they're like, no, and don't come in here all sweaty. And it's like, okay, y'all are kind of stuck up. Or maybe Benedict's a jerk. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
I don't know. There's an old dude in there.
There's an old dude. He ends up, it's just, there's a shot of him like sitting down, eating his meal, eating his noodles. And there's like an older dude who's there eating with him. Like at another table anyway. And Benedict's just like sitting on a bench. And he's like, these girls, blah, blah, blah. He's complaining about women. No more working girls for me, he says. Iris and Erica walk in, and he's like, hey, noodles? And they're like, no, leave us alone. And don't call me hey, you. Because he was like, hey, you want some noodles? No, it's not my name. But, yeah, they just kind of blow him off as the other girls did. And he's like, ugh. And then the old guy's like, I'll eat those noodles. So he eats those noodles. It's a great scene. Anyway, Iris and Erica go and sit down. And Iris is now complaining, saying, oh, we had 2 reservations so far, and they both asked for Catalea. And she's, and I'm stuck writing addresses all day and missing persons from the war and blah, blah, blah. And this new girl is too cold to be a doll. What's she thinking? What makes her just walk in here and become a doll? I worked so hard, blah, blah, blah. And she's kind of upset, obviously. And then this is, okay, here's a scene where I was like, I had my suspicions. This is one scene where I was like, fucking robot. Because Catalea, we see a red dress, super sexy red dress. Catalea walks out of the office. She's talking to Hodges for a second. And she mentions, I asked Violet if she wanted to get lunch, but she said she didn't want to eat. If you have the subtitles turned on, it doesn't say she didn't want to eat. It says she didn't need to recharge. And I'm like, hey, robot. Anyway, we find out Hodges' first name is Claudia, which is pretty great. Mm-hmm. And as they're sitting there chatting, Benedict comes out of a room, and Catalea she seems to kind of notice him come out of this room, and he's like kind of like behind a pillar or whatever, a thing, like watching them, listening to them talk. And Catalea seems to have noticed this, and she starts like messing with Hodges, saying, ooh, why don't you take me to lunch? Oh, did you want a different girl? Something blah, blah, blah. And she's like just kind of picking on him and stuff.
Calling out somebody else's name.
In bed, yeah, that's what she says. It's pretty, I don't know. And I don't know if like, I was like, okay, is she messing with him because she likes him? Or is she like trying to, like, because she appears to have just seen Benedict come out. Is she like messing with Benedict? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's both. Maybe she's just having fun.
Maybe he did call out somebody else's name.
Ooh, sexy. You ever done that?
I have not. Have you?
You sure? No, I haven't. I don't call out names during sex.
Me either. I don't like speaking.
I mean, I like speaking. You gotta know.
Freak.
What, during sex?
Freaking freak.
You okay, this isn't the sexy podcast. We won't get into that. Hey, man, you gotta...
fucking freak.
You never been doing something you're like, is that good? Is that good for you? And she's like, They give you a little moan or something? Nothing? You don't get any of that?
I don't do that, dude. No.
Do you ask before you have sex? Are you like, you want to fuck? You want to get this?
I'm a virgin, man.
You fucking ding dong. Anyway. Sorry about all the sex talk, guys. This has been a wild episode.
It's been all over the place.
We're reviewing again, this is a fairly slow and like serious anime. These first few episodes in particular. Then we fought a roach to the death. And it was like, it was fucking Dragon Ball Super in here for a second. He would have enjoyed that, I think.
He is never going to get to see the rest of Goku Black.
Fuck you. Fuck that roach. I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad he's dead, Roger. Anyway. So, later, we see Violet. She's been typing all day. Catalea sees her and says, oh, you're improving. And Violet says, asks if she can, she's been typing all day, and she says, she refers to the typewriter as this weapon, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, can I take this weapon with me?
Yeah, and then later, I don't think she has to take it yet. I think that's later on. But yeah, soon enough.
She does refer to it as a weapon.
She does refer to it as a weapon. And then Catalea says, tomorrow you'll shadow a real doll. I'm going, which I thought was funny. And she says, I'm going out for delivery, and she gets her coat and leaves. It's a house call, because apparently that's a thing that happens here. We see that later on in the series. But yeah, here, this is where Violet asks if she can take the typewriter to train. And also, I don't know if she actually says this to the person, but she says also she wants to type a letter to Gilbert. And she does so, and later she gives it to Hodges, and Hodges says, "Oh, I'll deliver it. Okay." Okay. So he's alive. Or is he? I don't know.
Yeah.
Terrified. I'm scared to find out. But shadowing, Violet is unintentionally critical and constantly pointing out errors. Like, she's sitting with Iris, and Iris is like, "Oh yes, blah blah blah," typing this, and Violet's just like, "You made a spelling error there." And it's like, damn, Violet, can you chill for a second? And then like some other person is trying to like explain like their whatever they're trying to say. What? Don't fuck with me, Roger. Roger's like stopped and is just staring at the ceiling like there's another roach there. I will fight you. I will stomp you like I stomped Calvin.
I'm trying to ease my head, dude. My head hurts from laughing too hard.
Anyway, she's like straight up critical at points. At one point, a man comes in. He's very upset. He's complaining at Erica because he's unsatisfied with the letter that was written, and he's complaining and said, "Well, I'm not paying for it." And he like balls it up and throws it at Erica, and it like hits the wall just on the other side, just like next to her head. And Violet's like,
she's not having that shit.
Violet is not having that shit. She like straight up puts this dude in an arm bar and like bends him over the table, and is like, I can't remember exactly what she says, but she straight up restrains this dude who's like, and she's like, just because you didn't like it doesn't mean you can't pay us. That was part of the contract, and blah blah blah, and just like, just manhandles this dude. And then we see Hodges talking to her, and they've gotten a lot of complaints. So Erica says, "Okay, well, we'll just have you type up a bunch of addresses, something about the Chamber of Commerce, that they need to send these letters out." And a woman arrives looking for Catalea. Catalea's not there. She's on her house call thing. This person explains he's a very, very attractive, kind of a, I want to say floozy, but that's a little judgmental, but she's like very like sexy.
She
type.
came off as a gold digger.
A little bit, not really, but like that's the thing we find out.
Will, yeah.
That's the thing we find out. But she's saying she wants to talk to Catalea because everybody knows you go to Catalea, and the only person there is Erica and Violet. And Violet's like typing those addresses. She's explaining to Erica, "Well, I've been approached by this man. He's an automobile salesman. Says everyone's going to have automobiles one day, and he's going to be very rich. And I'm not really into him, but I wouldn't mind having the option, I suppose. I want to write a romantic, elegant letter to blah blah blah." And Violet just kind of stands there and is like, "I'll do it." That's not how she talks.
Yeah, she's like,
done.
Yeah, she's like, "I want to do this one."
Yeah, and the lady's like, "Oh, are you going to write my letter?" "Yes, ma'am." And she does, apparently.
Apparently they don't read the letters before they send them.
Apparently not. No, well, from what we've seen, they just type them up, put them in an envelope themselves, whoever typed it, and then goes out for delivery. Like, that's every time we've seen them do one, that's how they do it. They don't read them back. So the lady is back. She's pissed. She's very upset. She's yelling. Apparently this letter was way too direct, and Violet reads it out loud. And I didn't write down the whole thing, but the big part is like, "I'm not interested in you. Try again when you have gifts and funds," is what she says, which is pretty great. Which again comes off a little bit gold diggerish. But this woman,
Violet is very good at reading people.
Yeah.
For the honest truth.
Well, she's just writing down exactly what they're saying, and like that's what she was saying. She's like, she was saying,
I'm not attracted to him. I don't really want much to do with him. But if he becomes rich, I want the option.
Exactly, which is the thing. So she's saying like, come back later when you got that Skrilla, my dude. But obviously that didn't work out. And the woman, Catalea's there now, and she's trying to calm this woman down. And the woman actually starts sobbing. Like she goes from being angry to just straight up sad and sorrowful, and she says, "I wanted to be chased. So that's what women want, don't they? I really." And she explains that she actually did. She does love him, but she just didn't want to say that. She was trying to like, play this game called love, which, I mean, opinions.
I don't know. I didn't believe it.
I don't know.
I didn't buy into it.
it was a real. I mean, I can understand that because I definitely I get like wanting to have some fun and like I'm not just because you say you love me. I mean I can't just go after you. That makes you seem cheap or floozy or whatever. So she was trying to like play hard to get. Obviously, is what she was trying to do. And this letter was not the way to do that. Clearly,
yeah. Well,
it was a bad time.
It's
yes, Roger. If we were all more direct.
Well, because she didn't have to be like don't put, or she could be like don't put this part in the letter. She didn't insinuate that. But
see,
all.
That's not.
But she got the letter returned to her, and she felt burned. She's a gold digger, dude.
This is the thing we find out though is that that's not how you don't say don't put this in, don't put that in. You say how you feel, whether it's actually how you feel or not. And the thing is, whoever's writing has to be able to convey that. They have to be able to decipher your emotions, which we find out is very difficult for Violet, particularly in the next episode. And that's the thing. Like she doesn't. I wrote down Violet is incapable. That lady's
emotion was not there.
Wow, she's apparently incapable of understanding nuance. She instead of like deciphering like what she really meant or like how she was feeling, even if she can't say how she's feeling, the auto memory doll is supposed to be able to write down and figure out how you're feeling and express that. She's not able to do that at all. So from there we go to Catalea is having tea with Violet and trying to explain to her, and this person in the little cafe is like, what would you like to drink? And she says, plain hot water is sufficient for rehydrating. And I'm like, you're a fucking robot. You're a robot.
She got to put it in her radiator.
when she gets angry, does she get a little beep like out of her ear? But Catalea tries to explain, words have different interpretations. It's a weakness of humans. We test others to confirm our own existence. It's a contradiction. She uses that word, and that word really sticks with Violet. She ends up bringing that back later. So Catalea leaves, says she needs to go apologize to this man in person. Violet's walking on the street. She sees someone who she thinks is Gilbert. It's not him. It's some old guy.
Some old dude.
It just really looked like him, and that was like one of the first times you see her really displaying an emotion. Like you see it a few times. Like she gets really worked up every now and then, but they're few and far between. But for that moment, she was like running and like yelling at this person, Gilbert. It wasn't him. She's walking down the street. Benedict rides up on a bike. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, "Here's Benedict, that guy." And he says, "You seem down. Are you eating enough? I've replenished my nutrients." You're a fucking robot. Did you mess up at work? Why not just go back to delivery? Why not find another job? And she doesn't really respond, and he's like, whatever, bye. So it starts raining. She's walking in the rain, no umbrella. She's just sitting there soaking it up. This is a bit where, like, again, the visuals in the show are so good. Like, you can actually see, like, her shirt clinging to her, and you can kind of see, like, how far up that robot goes. Yeah, and you can kind of see how far up that robot arm goes. Like, it looks like just under the shoulder. Or maybe to the shoulder. But she gets back to the office. Erica sees her walking in the rain. She runs downstairs. She's like, they talk for a second in front of the office. And she says, Violet says to her, do you think I'm suited to be an auto memory doll? And Erica's like, well, it's true that I don't. And Violet says, no, not you, me. Let's talk about my emotions. And it's like, Jesus. All right. Again, no nuance to this girl. Maybe she'll get there. But Erica says, well, no, you're not suited for this job. And why do you want to be an auto memory doll anyway? This is a thing that like a lot of people ask her throughout the show, throughout these 4 episodes. Why do you even want to do this? And she says, I want to do it until I understand what I love you means. Because, and again, she kind of explains like that's what she wants to know. Though she wants to understand the last words that the Major told to her. She wants to know what that means because he said, I love you, and she doesn't understand it. So then we're back inside. Iris is talking to Hodges, saying that Violet should leave. You need to ask her to leave. You need to fire her. She can't do this. She doesn't need to do this job. It's going to ruin us, particularly since we're just starting out, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And Erica, like, hears this. They both hear, Violet and Erica hear this outside the door, and Erica bursts in and says, no, You can't just fire her because of that. She goes into defend her. She says she's fast and accurate. She can type addresses while she learns, and eventually she'll be able to write letters good. And Violet is touched by this, and she says it's a contradiction. you told me I'm not capable of doing this, but you're defending me and saying I can. And it's like she kind of gets in. She seems to get a little bit of like what that means, but yeah. So we then get a moment with Erica walking down the street later. We saw her earlier, like walk past this. I don't know if it was a bookstore or some kind of curio shop, but she saw this little doll sitting at some kind of giant like keyboard looking thing, and we hear her little monologue, and she's saying that she feels like she's the one who's unfit to be an Auto Memories doll. And she explains the precursor to the typewriter was the Auto Memories doll, which was made by Professor Orlando, which was made for his novelist wife Molly, who went blind. He made this typewriter type thing so that she could continue to type her novels and make her novels. And Erica's dream, she talks about Violet here, was reawakened. These feelings were reawakened when she met Violet, just as because she's so wanting to do this thing, even though she's not very good at it, because she wants to know what love is. It really touched her. It was like something out of a storybook to her, and she loves these novels. And she says,
"What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Baby, don't hurt me." No
is that what you were looking for this whole time? Like,
no, that just literally strolled into my
hey,
mind
Roger.
just now.
Hey, Roger. I want to know what love is. Bing, 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 bing. I want you to show me.
I believe in a thing called love.
Just listen to the rhythm of my heart. You can cut all that out because I did not need to get that loud, and I feel bad about it.
That's
You're
okay.
definitely gonna have to level that. You see that fucking spike on the monitor? Jesus.
It'll be fine.
You can just cut it out.
It'll be
I don't need
guy.
people to hear my horrible singing.
It'll be fine.
It's one thing when it's a karaoke because I can fuck up a karaoke, but anyway. But yeah, that she reawakened these feelings in her. Violet did, just like the feelings she had when she read Molly's novels before how they had moved her. And she says she wants to write beautiful letters that move people's hearts. It's very beautiful. And we then see Violet is back in the office. They've got her a new outfit, a proper like dress that makes her look like one of those baby dolls. Apparently, dolls have their own uniforms, and they're all like clothing, like special clothing and whatnot. And this is if you look on the Netflix thing, the like header image for it is her standing there in this blue dress, this really outstandingly cool looking dress. Again, the art style and the character design, I love this show. It's so pretty. And they explain that there's a school that teaches kind of how to be an Auto Memories doll and whatnot, and that Iris went there for like a short course or whatever, so they want to send Violet there as well. And then Hodges says, "Oh, and don't forget this," and he hands her a box. She opens it up, and inside is that emerald brooch.
Yeah. Earlier,
and we find out earlier, that go ahead.
Yeah, earlier he was saying that he didn't get a salary this month.
Yeah, he wasn't getting paid this month. He wasn't making a salary.
Yep.
And we find out that this brooch apparently had been stolen from Violet's things. It ended up on the black market, and that's why Hodges isn't making salary this month. He ended up using all of his money to buy it back so that he could give it to her.
Touching.
Yeah, it's very touching. It's very beautiful. Violet has a moment. She's just like holding it there, and she's so happy to have it back because it reminds her of Gilbert. It's the same color as his eyes, she said at the beginning of the show. It's really, really touching. So then there's a brief scene at the end here where Catalea and Hodges are getting drinks. These drinks look real tasty, and after this scene, I went and mixed me up a little drinky at my house because I wanted a drinky. The show is very good at making me do things because I got hungry and then I got a drinky. But Catalea is talking to Hodges for a second, and she asks, like, who's this major that she's always talking about? And he says, oh, the major was a friend from the academy. And he talks about like his family and stuff. She's like, oh, one of those. Like, he apparently came from a very wealthy family, very powerful family. And he says, no, it's not like that. Even though he was from a rich family, he was a man of spirit. And Catalea stops him and says, was? And he says, he just kind of looks down like into his drink and just says, I'm afraid he's not coming back. Which again was the name of the episode.
Yep, never coming back.
So that's episode 2.
Yep.
Episode 3 is the first time I got like, I teared up a little.
Episode 3.
Hey, you seem bored.
No, I'm not bored.
Do you want another roach in here, asshole?
No, now I'm nursing a headache because I laughed too hard.
Oh no, buddy, go get some. I got some Excedrin in the car.
No, that's okay, man.
You want?
We're trucking through, man. We got a city mile to go.
All right, episode 3.
May you be an exemplary Auto Memory doll.
Yeah. Which they use like 3 different words for that. They say that term a lot, and then they switch it out constantly. Because the teacher and a few times other people in this say, may you all be admirable dolls. May you be admirable. And in the subtitles, it says optimal. May you be an optimal doll, which is interesting. But anyway, beginning of this one is Violet at the doll training class. We learned that a brooch from this class, these special brooches that with this design, that's
it's like a little
they
pin.
explain that, it's like a little pin, and they explain that this is proof of excellence. This redhead girl comes in late and is told, hey, if you're late again, then you're going to be tardy. Second tardy if you're late. Blah, blah, blah.
That lady the teacher seems very strict.
Very strict. And
she
she's
seems
very,
like if
very serious.
Yeah.
But she also ends up being a very nice person.
If you went to school, you're like, that's the teacher that I want to avoid and not
Yeah,
have.
she's the one that would like just straight up give you shit.
Yeah, day 1 homework.
Listen here, fucker. Anyway. She explains a little bit more about the class and says, are you ready? And something like, are you ready? And Violet stands up and salutes and says, affirmative. And I'm like, you little army girl. Little redhead girl who we don't know her name yet gets a little voiceover talking about like that was the first time I met Violet, this beautiful girl who wore this dress like a doll but acted like like she was in the army. And then we get the first time we see the real intro of the show, and it's really cool, and I love the opens and intros of the show. They're really good.
It's got a really cool like little like 5-step piano part. Like,
it's really good.
And pause and pause.
It's pretty great.
I like it.
I really the music in this show, the visuals. This is a very good show. I'm enjoying it a lot, and
this is the episode that we finally get an outro song too.
Yeah, we get an intro and outro,
and I have a comment to make about that song.
Oh, the outro.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get there. They actually play it like a little earlier in the episode,
but I didn't know it was going to be an outro.
Yeah, but so after the intro, we start with them doing a speed test, and she says, "Get started," and like everybody's typing away. And Violet just sits there not touching her typewriter, and the teacher comes over and says, asks her why hasn't she started, and Violet explains, well, you didn't give us a speed to type at. And the teacher goes, really? So if you have a speed, then you'll be able to type? Yes, ma'am. And she says, all right, 200 characters per minute. And Violet says, affirmative. And she pulls her gloves off with her teeth again, and everybody stops for a second, like, hands. And then she starts just clickety clacking away. She is like doing it, man. Just it sounds like you want a fight stick.
Yeah,
it's really great. She's just going out. Do not actually get the fight stick. I saw you eyeing it up. Don't you do it. But yeah, if it was closer, you would have. You son of a bitch. Anyway, stop. But yeah, she's going at it, going nuts, just typing up a storm. After that, we get a scene with them at lunch. All the students. Violet isn't eating at all. Luculia, we find out is her name, again, a type of flower, offers Violet some of her food, and Violet politely refuses. She doesn't want to eat. She says, I was trained to not eat on long missions. Like, she can go as long as she needs to without food, apparently. But yeah, so they're back
Not unlike a robot.
I think she might be a robot. They're back in class. The instructor is explaining there's going to be classes on grammar and vocabulary. We see those classes. We then see her reading off the marks, full marks for Violet, on grammar and vocab. She's fucking perfect. Super speed. She's nailing it. She's so good at every technical aspect of this job. So then she's back at the office after that first day, apparently. And Iris is making fun of her. Ooh, I bet you got in trouble. She says, no, actually. And she gives, we find out the instructor's name is Rodanthe. This right here, this is the moment that I realized, oh, they're all flowers. I got it. Like that. I'm kind of bummed out it took me that long to get it. But she gives the notes from Miss Rodanthe to Hodges. He reads them over. Hey, yeah, perfect marks. Really good. And Benedict walks in and promptly gets into some shit with Catalea. They just start arguing. So now it's like, okay, so she was just fucking with Benedict, maybe? I don't know. They seriously have some history going on. They're just immediately arguing with each other. Anyway, back at class, Violet is paired with Luculia in a writing exercise. They're going to choose someone they want to write a letter to, say what they want to write, and the other person's going to type it out, and then they'll switch and they'll hand off the letters later. So Luculia types. She Violet wants to do a letter for Hodges, which Luculia types out for her. And then afterwards, it's Luculia's turn. So Violet is typing for Luculia. Luculia explains she wants to write, she says, to my brother, no, to my parents. And she's saying stuff like, I'm sorry that I didn't get to spend more time with you. I'm doing okay in the city, though. I'm sorry we didn't get to do all those things we wanted, those places we wanted to go. And it's like kind of emotional, like, you know, she's obviously not seen her parents in a while, it sounds like, or whatever. And she says, and don't worry about me. I'm doing fine, okay? And that's it. And she types it up. Violet types it all up. And then the instructor, Rodanthe, comes by and looks at it and says, Violet, would you read this back to me? And it's so stiff. And she's like, I apologize for my inability to, for those places we wanted to go and this and that. I have nothing else to report. I have nothing to report about me, living in the city. Do not be concerned. Like, it's all very formulaic. It's very, very military, obviously. Mm-hmm. Like, she's so just, it's a report, not a letter. There's no soul to it or anything. Rodanthe explains that an admirable doll must decipher the feelings being conveyed, and what Violet has typed is not a letter. Again, in the subtitles, it doesn't say admirable, it says optimal, so that's just another way you can look at it. So yeah, she's kind of bummed out by that. She's walking with Luculia later after the class, and Luculia's trying to console her, trying very hard to be like nice, and she says, "Oh, don't worry about that." And Violet explains, "No, it's not the first time that someone's told me that, though." And then there's a scene as they're walking, they're going across some bridge, and the camera zooms in on Violet's face, and you get like real up close to her eyes, and there is a distinctive noise. And I'm like, that's a fucking robot.
I did not catch that.
If you didn't get, it sounds exactly like when you get a text message and your phone just goes, it sounds exactly like that. And I was like, was that my phone? And I rewind and watched it again. It zooms in on our face, and you just, and I'm like, she's a robot. She's a robot. I swear to God, that's in there. I'll show you afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah, that definitely happened.
That again.
That definitely happened. So, I actually wrote that down. Zoom in on Violet's face. A gentle buzz is heard. I'm like, what, robot? So Luculia says, hey, how about I show you the...
Is there nothing else that it could have been?
I don't know. Maybe one of the cars passing by, but it was such a distinctive noise that I don't know. It was very distinct. I don't know. It might have been one of the cars, but I'm telling you, man, she's a fucking robot. When it turns out she is a robot, I'm going to feel bummed, but whatever. It's going to be great. I'm going to cry. Luculia wants to show Violet the best view in the city. She says she takes to a bell tower. She goes up. She's like, be careful now. And Violet's just like walking behind her, not using the handrails. She doesn't even care. Violet, they get to the top, and it's a beautiful view. And Violet remembers Gilbert telling her how beautiful Leiden is. I can't wait for you to see the view of Leiden. Or Leiden, however it's pronounced. And... we then see, as they're continuing on, it's now, like, it's darker out. It's, like, evening time. And we see Luculia's drunk brother getting tossed out of a bar. His name is Spencer. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not drunk. I haven't even drank yet because they won't let me in. And the bar, this is you. This is you in the anime. You're the bar boy, like, tossing out these assholes.
It's me, man. I tossed out some assholes before.
I've seen you do it. It was great. I was sitting there right next to you when you did one time, and these guys were like, "Oh, just because he doesn't have an ID, you're gonna make him leave? Okay, fine. Well, I'll leave." And I'm like, "Man, you guys are a bunch of drunk assholes."
Were you there?
I was there for a fight. That was fun, but you weren't there.
Okay. Were you there the night that this guy kept, like, these girls said this guy was harassing him, and he was very drunk?
I don't remember
And I had
that.
to escort him out and, like, try to get an Uber to him or whatever. And as I escorted him out, he was just, like, throwing we walked by the pool tables. He was, like, throwing the people's pool balls into the hole.
That's fucked up. What
and
a
every time he
jackass.
saw a glass, he knocked it on the ground. Like, this is not for real.
Wow, that's childish and embarrassing, and I'm glad he's dead.
He didn't take a swing at me,
dead.
though. He did try to tell me that he was going to kick my ass. And I was like, all right, buddy, well, you come talk to me when you're a little more sober.
Yeah, we'll see about... Sit down before you get hurt, is what you told him. Anyway.
I put him in the cocaine clutch.
Did you really?
The camel clutch.
Yeah, I'll put him in the master lock. Ain't nobody getting out of that. This is not the wrestling podcast. That's a different show.
Wrestle forever.
Nice plug, bro. But yeah, so this guy's kind of a drunk asshole. He falls down. Violet like picks up his crutch for him. He has a crutch, and I'm like, all right, well, this guy is obviously on hard times. But anyway, we see Hodges reading Violet's letter, and Violet asks, will I ever be an admirable doll? And I don't think he actually responds there. He's just kind of like, So then we see Laculia coming home. She, after that scene with Spencer, apparently went and got some like groceries and whatnot. She's got a bag full of, or a basket with like fruits and stuff and vegetables and whatnot. She says, "Oh, I'll put on dinner right away."
A fruit basket, huh?
A fruits basket.
A fruit basket. You ever seen one of those before?
I haven't seen. That's that show, right? I haven't seen that show.
No.
I know that's a show.
It is. The
fruits basket. Yeah, with there's like animals and shit. I don't know. I heard it was good. I don't remember. Anyway. You see how I sidestepped that bullshit you were trying to do? Anyway, Spencer, she comes home to find Spencer just passed out drunk. There's a big mess. There's like a wine bottle knocked over. There's like bits of bread that he ate and then just left there because he passed out. It's fucked up. She sits down and she's like, really just kind of depressed about it. I think she cries a little bit. And you see this picture sitting on the wall that appears to be Laculia, her parents, and Spencer standing behind her, and he's clearly wearing an army uniform. So he was in the army. He's got this crutch. You can put those dots together and connect them however you want. But yeah, that's clearly, you get an idea of what's happening there.
Yep.
So graduation at the little thingy. 9 people pass, including Laculia, who's at the top of the class, and 2 other girls, Iberis and Bluebell. More flowers. Yummy. But Violet, we find, does not pass.
Nope, she flunks.
She does not. She flunked out hard. And the scene after that, like the other girls are like, "Oh, where are you gonna be a doll? What are you gonna do?" And Violet's just kind of like, "Eh." And Laculia like kind of feels bad for her because she's just sitting there sad. So back at the office, Violet is talking to Hodges in his office, and on his desk he still has that bunny and cat plush, which is pretty cute. I don't know if that's going to come back, but it might. And he tells her, you can still become a doll. That class, it doesn't mean you can't be a doll. It doesn't mean you can't be one. It's just you don't have their symbol or whatever to show that you passed or whatever. And she says, well, then what was the point? And how can I even write letters if I can't discern someone's feelings, if I can't decipher someone's feelings? And from there it cuts back, and we see Violet back at the school. And she's there. She seems like there's no class going on. She's just kind of hanging out because I guess she doesn't have anything else to do right now. And Laculia shows up and says, "Oh, I knew you'd be there." And she sits down with her and says, "Here, let's write a letter. Who's the major? I always hear you talking about the major." And she kind of explains a little bit, and she says, "Well, why don't we write a letter to him? I'll write it for you. You just tell me how you feel, and we can write this letter." And Violet sits there for a while, and she says, I have no idea what to say. She can't do it. And again, the question is asked by Laculia this time, why do you want to become a doll? And again, the same answer, I want to know what I love you means. Mm-hmm. She still doesn't understand. She just explains it again. And then we get Laculia kind of gives her story, and she talks about how her parents are deceased. Her brother had been was in the war. In the subtitles, she actually says, I guess this would be like the translation because they just use the same subtitles, but she says he was drafted even, but he was in the war, and he was in the Western Front, and there was not much fighting there. And her parents went to a place called Herne, which apparently was in this Western Front, and wouldn't you know it, that's when the front broke and the battle had come to that area. Later on, afterwards, there was no trace of him, and she's becoming emotional, obviously, because she's talking about her family dying and her brother being hurt. Mm-hmm. And her brother was injured. We find out he's basically fallen into this depression. Yeah. And he's haunted, it seems, by his failure to protect his parents and his family. He's got
some severe PTSD.
Yeah, it's really bad stuff. While this is being told, we see a scene of him like back at that bar, and like not getting in. I think the bouncer kind of pushes him a little. He bumps into these other guys, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you watch where you're going?" And he's like, "Oh, true," and like he starts swinging at him. They get into a fight. At one point, there's a scene where like he actually seems like there's like 5 dudes there, and he takes a couple swings at him and gets some good hits in on one of them, and then it like cuts back to Lakulia talking, cuts back to him, and one of the guys is like holding him from behind, and they're just like taking turns, like one guy's just
got him
like
in the master lock,
just punching the shit out of. Yeah, he got him in the master lock. He's just sandbagging him, man, just going at it. And
couldn't hold up with the numbers game, Michael Cole.
He sure could. Fuck you. But yeah, he's really getting a beating, and then like one of them said, the guy stops and he says, "And don't let me see you around here anymore." And then he just kind of wakes up and he goes, "Ah!" and like bam, headbutts the guy who's holding him and like starts fighting again. Dude is still in it. Boy has still got it, and I that was a pretty fun scene, but it's also very sad. So yeah, she's still explaining all this, and Lakulia says she was just happy that he survived. And Violet kind of turns the offer over to Lakulia and says, "Well, why don't I write a letter to your parent, or to him then, for you?" And she says, "No, I don't. I wouldn't even know what to say." Same excuse, Lakulia. And she gets up and she says, I have to leave. We'll write a letter to the major another time." And she like runs out crying because like it's gotten too heavy for her. So then it's Violet's left just sitting there. Cuts back to Spencer. He's laying in the street. I think it's raining now, and he's
looking at the
he's just
tower.
laying there. Yeah, he's just laying there in the street, staring at the sky, and he sees the tower, and he remembers like he's beaten to hell too. Like he's got bruises all over his face and everything. He's beat up bad, and he's laying there and he sees the tower. He remembers going up to the tower with his sister, and you know that was obviously a happy time for him. They were having fun. They were kids, and he hears someone walking up, and he grabs his crutch, which is laying next to him, and swings it. And it just stops like it wasn't even moving against Violet's arm. She just stops it. Like it wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Very strong. Very, very strong adamant silver arm. Robot. And he says, "Oh, you." And she gives him a letter. She gives him the letter that she typed after Lakulia had left. And says, "It's a letter from your sister Lakulia." And he reads it, and this is the part where I choked up. This is the first time I got close to crying in the show. I'm probably going to cry later. But it just says, "I'm happy that you are alive. Thank you, Lakulia." It's so short and simple and perfect, and he just starts weeping. I wrote down, he cries, I cry a little. Violet's back at the office. Benedict and Catalea are having tea. They seem to be getting along, and they talk for a bit, and then Violet says, "Are you two no longer fighting?" And Catalea's like, "Oh yeah," and they just start at it again. Like they actually
he'd set a cup or something.
Yeah, she actually has an excuse this time. He had set a wet cup on a letter, and he says, "Well, you shouldn't have left that letter there. My name's Benedict." And come on, guys. Y'all were so civil like 2 seconds ago until someone brought it up. But yeah, so back at school, Lakulia invited Violet to come there and also invited the instructor, Miss Redanthe. And she shows Redanthe the letter, and as she reads it over, and Lakulia explains like what had happened, that she had wrote it and all this, and Violet gets her brooch. And she says, I hope you will become an admirable doll. And Lakulia and Spencer, we get a scene of them back at the bell tower. He's seemed to cleaned up a little bit. I mean, Lord knows he's still dealing with some shit, but he at least knows that someone cares about him, and he appears to be trying to straighten himself out.
He's handling them demons.
He's handling them, yeah.
He's putting the bottle down.
He's putting them in the master lock.
Oh, God.
But, and there's a brief monologue there from Lakulia saying that Violet changed her life forever and how beautiful it is. It's really great. And then we get those end credits. Those end credits are rad.
Yeah. It's
I like
also
them a lot.
so I wanted to say that the end credits are also vocal. The vocals are done by Nanachi.
Is that Nanachi?
I think so.
You think? No, don't say that if you don't know, Ding Dong.
It is pretty close,
God
dude.
damn it, I'm gonna look this up afterwards. I don't.
Can you hear the Nanachi in those lyrics?
Thinking on it, maybe I did.
You
I do
can,
remember.
dude. It sounds like Nanachi.
Now you can't just say that. We have to research. We will look it up after this.
Either way, Nanachi's a fictional character, so I'm just imagining Nanachi is singing this song.
That's okay. You're a ding dong. Anyway.
It sounds like it, dude. It sounds like the vocal structure and patterns and everything are very similar.
T-Hui.
Get the hell out of here, okay? I have to deal with this attitude.
Don't make me stomp you like I stomped that roach, you son of a bitch. Anyway, episode 4.
You're gonna have to try more than a couple times on me.
Episode 4. You ain't coming back from the dead, I know that. Episode 4.
Oh, we got You Want to Be a Tool. Sorry, I read that wrong. You won't be a tool. But a person worthy of that name.
Roger, what's wrong with you?
Oh, dude, I just glanced really quick and
so
read.
These titles, when you watch it on Netflix, it just says episode 1, episode 2, episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
The titles, there's these title end cards that show up at the end. It's always like the last word that was said or whatever.
Yeah, you won't be a tool, but a person worthy of that name.
Yeah. So anyway, Jesus Christ, you want to be a tool.
Hey, if there's anybody that I know that is worthy of the name Tool.
Fuck you. Son of a bitch. Anyway, this one starts with, before the credits, Iris has been requested. She can't believe it. She's so happy. She never gets requested. She needs to go to Kazali, which is actually her hometown, from someone, a middle-aged woman named Sarah Florent has requested him. So as Hodges is standing there explaining this and Iris is so happy, Catalea pulls everyone out except Hodges and says, well, then let's go to lunch to celebrate, and leaves Hodges holding a couple of teacups, and he's like, whatever. So as they're going, they talk for a bit, and Catalea is leading them, and Iris is so pumped. She's like, oh yes, of course they requested me. I'm the best, blah blah blah. She's real excited.
She's being that B word.
She's
a butthole.
She's excited that for once she's actually got called to do something. This is what she wants. This is what she's been living for. It's the whole reason she left her hometown to become a doll, we find out. She wanted to do this. But yeah, she's glad that she's getting an opportunity. Don't be a douche, man.
She's unlikable.
Iris is my favorite.
She's unlikable until the end of this episode.
I disagree. I thought she was fine. she's like one of the, what's the term? Tsundere.
Butthole.
Tsundere, is that the term? Tsundere? Something like that. It's one of those where she's kind of kind of withholding of her feelings. She uses uses her bitchiness, if you must.
Snooty.
She's snooty in order to have a wall around herself.
She didn't get enough snoot boops.
You're the worst. You're the absolute worst. What the fuck's a snoot boop?
Boop. When you boop the snoot, dude.
I'm gonna slap you.
I'm gonna boop your snoot.
Don't you fucking dare. Keep your snoot booper away from my snoot. Boop. Keep your booper away from my snoot. All right. So as they're talking, she's having a good time, but I think Erica says, well, remember you're representing CH Postal Company. And Iris is like, well, I know that. Of course I know that. And Violet says, I believe that was a disingenuous comment. And she's like, you! And she turns around as they're going down the stairs and trips, is falling backwards. Violet lunges forward to try and stop her from falling. Cut to opening credits. And then we find out that Iris and Violet are both going because Violet hurt her arm and it's in a good cast. So Violet's going to type for her. That's what you get.
Yep.
We also get a brief scene there where Catalea is talking about it, and apparently there were a bunch of letters they're getting a lot of letters asking for votes. Something about the House of Lords or some bullshit. I don't remember. Yeah, that may or may not come back, but whatever. Thought I'd make a note of it. You get a little bit more information about the area. So they're going to this place called Kazali, which is big on farming and whatnot. When we get there, it's what appears to be a lot of tea and rice paddies and whatnot.
Yeah, it's rice fields.
Yeah, rice fields and stuff. And Violet's reading about it on this map or some kind of book or whatever. And she says, it doesn't sound like there's much else there. And Iris kind of takes offense to that. Well, I'm sorry, we don't have anything. And Violet's like, no, that's probably good. The Garderic Empire attacked because because Leiden or whatever had a lot of copper and iron in this one area, and that's apparently what started this whole war. So you get a little bit of a history lesson. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Kazali doesn't have much going on, but that just means it's relatively safe there. So Iris explains that yeah, that makes sense that it's relatively safe there since there's not much going on. Her uncle actually wanted to enlist, but her aunt refused to let him, and that kept him safe. And then she's like, ugh, and she says, I'm sorry, because she realizes, oh, I was just talking about these metal hands, like to this person who's got metal hands who actually was injured. Like that kept him from getting injured. You were. And Violet's like, oh, and Iris says, I'm sorry. And Violet says, it's not your fault. What are you apologizing for? And this is actually a thing that kind of bums me out because it's a thing that happens with me a lot. Like, that's a sympathy, I'm sorry. It's not it's my fault, I'm sorry. It's a sympathy, I'm sorry. And Violet doesn't get sympathy as well as nuance or anything else. But, like, that's some shit that happens to me a lot. Like, someone will say, oh, this thing happened. I'm like, oh, man, I'm sorry that happened. They're like, it's not your fault. I'm like, I know that, motherfucker. I'm trying to be nice. Like,
I guess I do that. I always tell people don't be sorry.
That shit bums me out a little bit. It's like, I'm showing sympathy. I'm being a human, you douche. Anyway, I know they're not trying to be douchey, but that's a thing that happens, and I don't know. Anyway, there's a brief voiceover there with and Iris is giving a little bit of voiceover. It seems like every episode since 2 has had someone like having a voiceover explaining like how Iris changed their life a little bit. First it was don't do that shit. You're looking at the ceiling again like there's a bug. Fuck. God, I can't be in this room. The walls are closing in. But so the first one was Erica having her little Violet moment.
Stop looking, dude. There's not one.
All right. First one was Erica having her Violet moment. Then we had Luculia, and now we're on to Iris having her. This is her episode to have her life changed by Violet Evergarden. She's like freaking Amelie or something. She's just touching everyone's lives. So they end up in Cosley. It's a very humid area. Iris makes a note about like, hey, are you okay wearing that heavy dress? And she's like, no, it doesn't bother her at all or something. Robot, of course it wouldn't. You don't sweat. She probably does sweat. She cries. She bleeds. But yeah, this place is humid. It's even tropical. It's got like palm trees and shit. It's a really, really rad looking place. Iris's family comes to greet them. Iris is kind of being a little bit of a show off, saying, "Oh yes, well of course they requested me. I'm the best in the town." Blah blah blah. And Violet like kind of calls her out, like, "That's a lie. That is also inaccurate." Like, it's really great. But she asks, so who's this Florent person? And Iris's mom explains, oh, well, Florent was your great-grandmother. I'm the one who requested you. And Iris immediately is like, so then this is a false commission. That is a breach of contract. Goodbye. And she just turns to get back on the train. Like, fuck this, I'm out. She literally pulls the fuck this shit, I'm out. And Violet, or Iris rather, runs back in after her and is like, no, Violet, come back. And back at her family's home, they kind of rewrite the contract now so that it's like a proper one, so that Violet can actually get to work. And she makes it a proper contract, and we find out that what she's supposed to type up are invitation to Iris's birthday party, which is 2 days from now. And Iris is like taken aback, didn't even know this was happening, appears to have forgotten it was her birthday coming up even. But
keep going, man.
Keep looking around the room. God damn it, Roger. If another fucking roach runs across
Okay, I'm just going to stare directly at the computer here.
Well, don't do that. What if one runs up on me?
Well, I ain't got your 6 anymore.
This house is a hellhole. Anyway.
House is not a hellhole. I paid a lot of money for this.
It's a beautiful home. I love it. This hasn't happened before. This is out of the ordinary. Anyway.
The seasons are changing.
Fuck. So she it's 2 days from now for the birthday. She looks at the invitation list and sees, oh, it's almost all men. And her mother's like, well, you're at that age now. And Iris just flips her shit. Like, that's what you got me here for, and you lied to do it. Like, they explain, well, you know, we thought maybe you could come back, move in with us, get married. It'd be great. You know, your baby. You can start a family. Be a doctor. All right. But she's obviously very upset about that. Like, that her parents are being a little bit controlling, which makes sense. She's pissed off. Violet, however, gets to work. She's typing up the invitations, and Iris tells her, this name here, Amon, do not send him one. And Violet says, but, I mean, it's part of the job. I'm supposed to do this, blah, blah, blah. And she says, well, you're only my stand-in, remember? So don't do it. I don't want you to do it, so don't do it.
Don't invite Amon, because he wrote a song about me, and it was very insulting.
What?
You ever heard that song by Amon?
No.
I Don't Want You Back?
Oh, is that the...
It's got an obscene amount of cuss words.
I don't want you back. Oh, I didn't know that was Amon. I was just talking about that song the other day, like how fucked up that song is, because it's like such a relatively chill R&B beat, but then it's just like, fuck you, you bitch. I don't want you back. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Real fucked up. Anyway.
You play me. You even gave me
It's a really bad song.
Lyrical genius,
I still can't
dude.
believe that was like as big a hit as it was. Because I remember hearing that shit on the radio a lot. That was fucked up. Anyway,
I showed my girlfriend when we first started dating. I showed her that song,
and she was like, "Is that how you feel?"
Her face was like blank. She was like Violet in that instance. She was not processing what was going on.
It's fucked up.
And it is a little hard to process.
I never did like that song. I thought it was weird. It was such a big hit. Anyway. Yeah. I like that part. That's the only reason it got anything, because it's like one of those songs that like sounds cool, but then it's like actually really fucked up subject matter. Kind of like
he throws a pizza in the music video. One
of my personal favorites. What's it called? Coheed and Cambria, The Suffering. That's a song that has a pretty upsetting, pretty bummer of a subject matter, but it's a very upbeat, like, rad song.
Listen, well, will you marry me?
Not now, boy. All right.
No, you're well in the suffering.
There's a great wiggity wah at one point in that song. Like, after one of the pre-chorus, the guitar does a little...
That music video is
so good. There's like unicorns and centaurs and shit. Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to the show. This is not the Coheed and Cambria podcast, although we can start one of those if you want. Anyway.
I could go on forever.
Yeah, you could. So after they're typed up, Iris and Dad deliver the invites. He invites her back for dinner. It's only right to be hospitable. And she says, oh no, this view is hospitality enough. And she's looking out. It's nighttime. This beautiful view of like the surrounding mountains, like tucked this little like town, this area like in between them. It's so gorgeous and then like the sky reflecting off all the rice paddy pools and whatnot. It's beautiful. The moon is like huge and glowing and a little bit red. It looks a little bit neon moon. It's really great. It's really great. I had to work that in, man. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene. Oh, wait. I know how to make you cry, bro. I know how to make you cry. Johnny's daddy taking him fishing.
Johnny's daddy taking him fishing when he was 8 years old.
All right, enough. Goddamn, we'll be here all night. There's no doubt we're already over 2 hours. We need to finish this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is the most musical episode ever.
It's also
Allie's gonna love this.
I'm gonna listen back to it just for that fucking roach battle. Like, that was outrageous. Anyway, this view is hospitable enough. It's beautiful. Again, the art, the style, the animation, the show is just gorgeous. So, at the party, the next night or the next day or the day after or whatever, Iris is mingling at the party. She's talking to some friends. Mom interrupts to show off some of the boys. Let's play Mystery Date. Who do you want to get with, buddy? Do you want Montgomery?
That boy?
You've got Montgomery. He just got his teaching degree. Oh, he's so handsome. Hans, he's trained to be a cobbler. And then Amon shows up.
R&B artist.
And he's like, fuck you, you bitch.
I don't want you back.
Yeah. Was it spelled like this? Like
it is spelled EMONN here.
Did you just Google Amon?
No, that's the name spelled for Violet.
It's EAMONN, isn't it?
EAMON is how the artist the song.
Oh, which is a one word, one letter.
Yeah,
well, in
this
the subtitles,
one is EMONN.
In the subtitles on the show, it's EAMONN. Two N's. So even closer. Anyway. So Amon shows up. Iris is immediately embarrassed, a little bit distraught, and she's like not even looking at him. She says, "Why did you come?" And he says, "Well, I received an invitation." And she's upset, and she flips, and she's like, Violet actually explains that she sent it out after talking to Violet, Iris's mother. Violet sent it out, and Iris just flips her shit. She runs inside. She doesn't come back out. Everybody apologizes. You see the party ending, and everyone's leaving. And Violet doesn't understand why Iris didn't want him there, and she tries to talk to her. You find out that apparently he had turned her down already.
Yeah, it was her childhood crush.
Yeah, she had a big deal with him. They had
tossed her in the friend zone.
Yeah, they had she had like really, they had been friends since they were kids, and before they graduated, like high school or whatever, they're finished and they're about to graduate, I guess. And she confesses to him. She says, "I love you," and like that scene, boom, it like hits her. It hits Violet with that one, and
these dang animes, man, you can't have friends in them.
Well, they talk about that this bit in the next bit, but what you find
Iris
out is
can't be a friend.
She ended up loving this guy, and he didn't return the favor. But Violet comes back down after Iris is crying. She doesn't actually explain all that yet, but she says Mom tries to console her. She like runs up there. They're like, "Oh, where's Iris?" She's like, "Oh, she's crying," and Mom tries to like talk to her and explain like she now knows that Amon had turned her down before, and she says, "Oh, if we'd known, we wouldn't have even invited him. Like, we'll find you someone better." And Iris just reflips her shit. It's getting a good cooking on both ends. Her shit is. She's just flipping her shit back and forth, getting a good and cooked on both sides. And she says, "I wish I'd never come back." And Violet comes in. And she's like, "Did you tell them?" And Violet's like, "Well, I didn't know it was a secret." And Violet explains that she doesn't understand emotions, obviously, or people not saying what they mean. She apologizes profusely. She's very sorry. And this is where Iris explains the whole story with Amon, that she grew up friends, she grew to love him, confessed before they graduated, and he said, I'm sorry, I only think of you as a friend. And this is where Iris had explained that when she confesses, she said, "I love you." And that's when Violet has a moment. She's like, "Huh." And she explains that it seems like it takes a lot of courage to say, "I love you." And her and Iris learned a little bit more about each other.
She levels up.
Yeah. She talks about, she kind of explains the whole story with the major. And Iris is like, oh, she had heard her talk about the major, but never knew what it was. And now she does. And they learn a bit more about each other. It's very, it's very touching. They have a moment. Aw.
Now kiss.
Yummy. That'd be great. Anyway, Iris then asks Violet to write a letter for her. She wants letters to the guests. And Violet says, "Even Amon?" And she says, "Yeah, you're not letting up, huh? Yeah, him too. And your parents?" And she's kind of taken aback. She says, "A letter to your parents would be a good way to like express how you feel, so you can talk to them and actually like let them know what's going on." And so we see her parents, the letter slides under their door. They're in bed. They pick it up and they're reading it. And it's a typical like, "I'm sorry. Thank you for requesting me." It's the first time she's been requested. And she's very sorry, and she's sending letters to all the guests as well. And she says, "Please continue to support me, and thank you for being so patient with me. Consider this I can't remember exactly how she says it, but it's the first letter from the future #1 doll in Leiden to her parents, whom she loves very much." It's very sweet and very cute, and I like it.
Now, do you think Iris typed this one?
Oh no, Violet typed all these.
You think so?
That's definitely what it looks like. I mean, we see,
because this one is definitely a lot less rigid than.
Yeah, for sure. But see, that's the thing is like we kind of see that Violet now has some idea of how to do this, even if it was just 1-2 sentences in the last episode.
Yeah, so she could be leveling up there.
I think she must have written this one, because that's the scene we saw Violet sitting at the typewriter, and like she was doing all the letters to the guests and whatnot. So then we're back at the station. Iris, when she first got there, stepped in a mud puddle. She steps in the same fucking mud puddle again. Yeah, bad time. And her parents show up and they say, "Well, thanks for the letter." And she says, "Well, Violet typed it." Ha, she does say that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. And she says she's gonna bill her later.
Yeah, she says, "I'll send you an invoice." And she's like, "What? You did an invoice?" "Well, it was a job." It's like, "Well, no, come on, give me a discount." "No discounts allowed." "Well, call it an employee benefit." Like, it's really great.
Yeah.
It's a really great scene. I love that. "Well, Violet typed it. Yes, I'll send you an invoice." It's so good.
That's right. I forgot all about this little
you ding dong. You dang old ding dong. That's great. Right. That's why you got to take all these fucking notes. You got to write this shit down. That's fucking 4 pages for one of these episodes. God damn it. I'm a bad person. It takes writing so much. There's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole pages for this one episode.
Oh,
I want to make sure I don't miss anything. You don't know what I might.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck you bitch. I don't want you back.
Said that to Calvin, dude.
So yeah, I'm glad he's dead, but apparently his brother showed up. God damn it, there's more fucking bugs in here. This is a bummer. Anyway.
Don't worry, man. I got them.
You really watching
eyes, man.
You watching the skies, bro?
Yeah, I got eyes in the skies for you.
Got them chameleon eyes wiggling around. So yeah, they're back at the thing. Scene about the invoice and whatnot. Dad gives Iris a present for her birthday. It's a bouquet of irises. And as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh, irises. And then later on the train, they're like, oh yeah, these are irises. And I was like, yeah, irises. But she, as they're on the train, there's a bit where, like, I don't know if they were in a tunnel or like there was a bunch of trees or what, but she says, oh yeah, irises, they're in bloom right now. She says, look, and she points at the window, and there's just a beautiful field, like right as as she points, there's a beautiful field of these blue irises. They're just, oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
the art in the show is so
just
good.
like irises.
The show is so pretty.
Yeah.
The show is so pretty. And yeah, they see the field of blooming irises. She explains they were in bloom when she was born, hence the name. That's why she was named Iris. And Violet has a brief flashback of the Major giving her name. They're standing outside some building, and he says, "What's your name?" And she doesn't respond. He says, "I see." And then he looks around, and he'll give you a new name. And he sees a violet, a flower growing by this fence. It's just a single one. It's kind of beat up, but it's growing. You know, just a little bit poetic. And he says, "Violet, that'll be your name." And he says, I'm sure you'll become a person fitting of that name, not just a tool. Hence the title of the episode. Mm-hmm. Good stuff, really good stuff. And then we'll go into episode 5 next week because we're doing 5 through 8. And Jesus Christ, we've been here so long. We fought for our lives. We got through these 4 episodes.
This was a battle zone, dude. This
is a rough one.
War zone.
God.
And now we got 3 questions.
Oh, questions. You send them in. We're gonna answer those questions.
All
right. You pushing it.
Where's my backup vocals? Calvin, where you at?
He's dead. They're all dead.
He ain't coming back. He ain't getting any deader.
I'm glad he's dead. All right.
All right.
Questions. Let's get to it, man.
3 questions.
We've been recording for
That's
a while.
That's one more question more than we've had the past couple of weeks.
We have been here a while. Please, let's get to it. I'm so sorry for these long episodes, but damn it was a battle this time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let's see. Clayton, my good buddy Clayton.
Starting with our good buddy Clayton.
Yeah, his last name is Friend, but he's more of a buddy to me, and a good one at that.
You go with the last name thing. You can't be putting in people's info out there.
You don't know how to spell friend.
I mean, you just spell different. Go to that damn Facebook page and see his posts.
What are some anime that were worse or better than the original source?
Ooh.
I can think of one you kind of mentioned maybe a couple of weeks ago that was much, I would say,
that was
better.
Gungrave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the games. The first game is really fun. The second game is not as fun. The anime is definitely better than that second game.
All right. But if the anime was based on the first game. It was game, anime, game.
Yeah, I think so. No, the game... half of the anime is before the first game. Right,
but that was the thing, is it was, as I remember, the game came out first, then they made an anime based on the game, then they made a game based on the anime, which was shit. The second game was shit.
The game wasn't based on the anime. The second one was not.
I don't know.
So, I would say the anime for that is better. I would also...
Better than the first game?
I will say that, like, the Marvel animes and stuff, not better than the source material.
Oh, I haven't watched any of those.
Oh, they're not good.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. This would be a hard one for me because I don't know. Usually, if I've seen an anime or whatever, I usually haven't experienced the original source material if it's based on a manga or something, or vice versa.
Any video games or anything like that you can think of?
What's some stuff that's based on animes or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Or some stuff the animes
are based off of. See, I don't even know. I'm not as experienced in this stuff as Roger is, so I don't even know if I have a proper answer to this. I'm looking around the room trying to get an idea. What's some stuff I like? What's some stuff that's based on stuff that I could like and I could think of, and I don't know. I have seen a few of those. Here's the best answer I can get. I have seen a few of the One Punch Man comics, because that was like a webcomic thing. Also Pop Team Epic. I've seen a few of those original shits. But I think that's kind of a weird one because I really like One Punch Man, the one season that we got. But having seen, like, there's actually videos where you can see people comparing the manga, the comic, to the anime. And, like, particularly the scene where he's fighting, like, the ninja dude in the forest or whatever. Mm-hmm. The anime, it's, like, swirling him around him real fast. He's, like, moving around him so fast you see it, like, spinning around Saitama as he's standing there. And it looks fine. The manga somehow is even better. Like, the angles and the lines and the speed that is conveyed in these still images legit looks better than the actual animation. So I haven't read the whole thing, so I couldn't put one over the other, but I think that would be the example I'd use. That said, the animation of that show is rad. That's a very fun show. It's a very, very good show. And I can't wait for them to get more. It's supposed to be coming out this year, or maybe it was delayed again. I don't know. But
good answers.
Yeah, that's as good as I can get. Thanks for the question, Clayton.
Yeah, thank you,
Love you, buddy.
Let's see. Let's go to Renuk.
Renuk the Brave.
He is the brave boy.
That's what it says when you select him in Soul Calibur. Renuk the Brave.
Which mecha would you pilot from any series?
Gurren Lagann, done.
Please tell what series it's from.
Gurren from Gurren Lagann.
That was real easy for you.
That's quick and easy, done. Are you kidding me?
Orbital Frame from the Zone of Ender series.
All right. If I had to pick something else,
man, it's really hard to.
It's not a mech, but I really want that swordfish ship from Cowboy Bebop that Spike flies. That thing's badass. But no, it's Gurren. It's definitely Gurren.
Yeah.
It's definitely Gurren. Are you kidding?
Yeah, there's a lot of great Gundams out there too. Heavy arms.
There are some good Gundams. Yeah, that's true. I want that Liger from Zoids.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It's just
that's badass.
All of your vehicles turn into mechs.
Yeah, I could name a few other ones that I really like, but it's definitely Gurren from Gurren Lagann. I'm sorry to breeze over your question so quickly, my good buddy Renuk.
Yeah, we knew where it was going.
We knew where we were going.
I knew exactly the answer to that one.
That's the fastest
Mine is
I ever
an
thought of
orbital
anything.
frame from Zone of Enders.
Hell yeah.
And
Hell
there's a Jehuti, that one's really good. There is Anubis, that one's really cool. And then there's what is
you don't want 001? What's up? Type 01 or whatever.
I'm talking about the.
You don't want Avas? You don't want no Avas?
No, they're like tethered to shit.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're not as good. No, they're cool looking, but they got to be like.
Well, if you can make it freak out and like its mouth pops out, it's like
yeah,
that cool shit. Do that cool shit.
I mean, it would be cool, but it also seems really dangerous piloting those.
Oh yeah, you would
mechs.
just die. I'm trying to think of anything else. I can't really think of anything else. I mean, there's a lot. There's a whole lot, but it's definitely Gurren. Are you kidding? I love that show. I love that mech. It's a big old robot. Big old fighting robot. Super fighting robot. All right.
That's a good song, dude. You really nailed that. You went all out.
I'm so good. There's a lot of singing in this episode, and it might not have all been good, but
it was.
You're welcome.
Fun. Yeah.
You're sure as hell welcome.
Somebody will like it.
I know you liked it.
Allie, our good buddy.
My good buddy, Allie.
She sent us in a question.
Awesome. Bring it. I want it. Give it to me.
Out of all the anime you guys love, what's you guys' favorite intros and outros and why? And additionally, what's your favorite intro and outro song?
So intros as a whole and then songs specifically.
Yeah. I'm going to break mine down into like which art pieces I like the way it's animated or the images, but and then the songs separately.
Gosh, I would probably need a second to think. I think the obvious first answer is Tank Cowboy Bebop.
Yep.
That song is so good. The visuals are great because it's like this really great
Real Folk Blues is hard to beat too. I did not pick it.
I wasn't big on the visuals for Real Folk Blues, but the song is very good.
It
was fine, but like I really love the visuals for the intro with I really like the visuals for Tank because it's like this crazy like film noir like style. It's really good. It looks like some old James Bond shit. I love it. I would say I will give a special shout out to I can't remember. I don't believe it was they changed the intro for season 3 of My Hero Academia, I think. I honestly don't remember. I haven't watched season 1 or 2 in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's a new one. And that song is badass. Those visuals are badass. That shit gets me pumped. Like whenever I've been watching the new episodes, I said, as they're coming out. And whenever I do, I'm watching that intro every time. I'm not skipping it. It's fucking badass. It gets me pumped. Especially that bit at the end where like you see some dude and then it like, he's like standing there and then it zooms past him and you just see All Might like powering the fuck up. It's like, I keep my ideas. It's so fucking ooh, gets me jacked, bro.
Gets you charged,
it's fucking
dude.
sexy.
Freaking charged.
So hard.
Yeah.
Not what I meant. Not what I meant.
Yeah.
Not what I meant. But that's a very good intro. But yeah, I would probably also Fooly Cooly, the ending of that one. That's right on Shooting Star. That's a badass song. Jing jing jing, jing jing jing. It's so good. All the music in that was great. That's the fucking Pillows, man. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. And I'm trying to think. There's got to be something else. I really like the intro and outro in Violet Evergarden. I'll say that again.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff.
Nanachi.
I'm gonna look that up because I don't think you're right. But
we're gonna have to listen to the song again too, so you can.
Okay, I don't care if it sounds like them. You said that's them, and I don't think it is.
Okay, I will wave the white flag. I will surrender the idea that it is actually Nanachi.
If it turns out to be, though,
wouldn't that be some crap?
That would be some shit. I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyway. Yeah, you got any more intros or outros you want to talk about?
Let's see. I'm still
thinking.
Songs. I had to put a lot of thought into this. And my favorite outro song for sure is Be Your Girl from Elfin Lied.
Never seen it.
That song freaking rips, dude.
I have to look it up.
Oh, it's so good.
I have to look it up for sure.
My favorite intro would be Tokahanate from Blue Gender.
Okay, I remember that
song
one.
also rips.
I remember that one. I need to look that up again because I remember liking that show even though it like fucked me up real bad. But I need to rewatch that.
Oh man, the opening song freaking rules, dude.
Obviously the Sailor Moon intro has a hold a special place in my heart. It's so good. That freaking synthy piano. Ding 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 ding. Is that good shit?
A really good outro, like visually. Is Outlaw Star.
Yeah, Outlaw Star's fucking
those
rad.
still frames for both parts.
Those are beautiful.
And it has a really great song, a couple of really great songs on there. I really like the E-O song.
Yeah, I remember that.
E-O.
All right.
Nailed it.
Oh, duh. We just got through talking about Evangelion. You can't forget fucking Cruel Angel's Thesis. That shit rips harder than anything in the fucking world. That is beautiful. Like, I love that shit. Have you seen that fucking? There's a fucking post I remember seeing that was like the first 5 seconds of Cruel Angel's Thesis. It's like the Zahu and like that shit, and it's like a picture of like Jesus ascending into the heavens. It's very beautiful and whatnot, and it's like the rest of the song, and it's a real picture that someone made of Jesus breakdancing, like like a painting of Jesus breakdancing while surrounded by a bunch of cardinals going, like clapping him on. I'll find that post for you. It's fucking beautiful.
Okay.
It's fucking cool. But yeah, that shit. God damn, that's a good
opening
one.
Song. I can't remember who sings it. It's the opening for the first season. It's the first opening for the first season of Psycho-Pass.
Oh yeah?
That song rules. Let me see if I can find it real quick. What's the name of that song? Psycho-Pass opening. I want to put it in case people want to listen, in case they want to jam it. They want to put it on their anime themed list on their iPods or whatever the crazy kids are using these days on their Zunes.
I'm showing Roger the picture right now I was talking about. It's fucking great, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna put this on the Good Buddies Tumblr if anyone wants to check it out.
Oh, come on. You didn't Google my stuff. Come on.
The worst.
The song is called Abnormalize. And the band is Ling Toside Segure.
Oh yeah?
Ling Toside Segure.
Is it so good?
It's so good.
This
dude.
is from Psycho-Pass, you said?
Yes.
Still haven't watched that. I really need to check it out.
Yeah, okay. The second season, not as good. First season, very good.
All right.
I hope they do more. But yeah, on thinking through, like, those are all really good to me.
You fucking go again with that.
Go ahead and shout out the Pokemon theme song because, god dang, it's iconic.
Well, yeah,
and it is fun.
You can't get past that one. I'll even throw Digimon in there because that was a fun one.
Oh yeah,
Digimon, digital monster, Digimon are the champions.
Those are those childhood tunes, man. Rock the Dragon.
Oh yeah. Oh god. It's good shit.
That's the crap that got me pumped as a kid. Now, they're much more detailed. They don't take away from it anymore. They just leave the song as it is. And now I'm like, ooh, this is good.
I do remember liking that Dragon Ball Z intro, as goofy as it was. Dragon, brought the Dragon
Ball Z.
There it is. Oh, God.
I used to know how to play that on guitar.
Did you really?
Yes, I sure did.
I demand a demonstration. We'll get to that to you next time, good buddies. We probably won't.
But I think that's all of our questions.
I think we made it through a harrowing evening.
Yep.
In the studio.
What a wild episode this was.
What a long, strange trip it's been.
This is the wildest episode, dude.
Oh my God, I have to work so early and it's almost midnight. All right. I think we
go
need
ahead. If
shut
you
it
guys,
down, kill it. Let's go.
Shut it down, kill
it like I killed Cliff.
Hey,
what was his name?
This week,
what was his name?
Calvin.
Calvin.
So yeah, guys, wherever you guys are listening to us at, be sure to subscribe there, whether it be YouTube, whether it be iTunes, whether it be Podbean, whether it be Stitcher.
Podbean. Love you, beans.
Brandon gets to do his little thingy that he didn't get to do last week.
What was that? Oh, the drop?
Yeah, the drop, dude. You get to do it, man.
I'll let you take it, man.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Well,
well, hang on. We want to, of course, as always, give a shout out to our good buddies, Married with Seamonsters, aka the Mary Janes, and Petty Theft, for the use of our opening theme song, which is Paperdoll. You can find that on marriedwithseamonsters.bandcamp.com. They also have a Spotify, and of course, Petty Theft for our good buddies house jam. We got to get a proper name for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him to name it, or I'm gonna name it for him.
As you said, it rips. Yeah, it's really great. But yeah, I think that's it for us.
I'm your good buddy Roger.
I'm your good buddy Brandon.
You guys take it easy.